In the farthest corners of the earth, hidden beneath layers of time and history, lie places so ancient their secrets have barely whispered to the modern world. These are the remnants of a forgotten world, untouched by the hands of civilization, yet shrouded in mystery. What if the ancient wonders we thought we knew about were only the beginning? What if there were lands, lost to history, that defy all understanding? From strange formations to mysterious ruins, the past may hold more than we ever imagined. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into some of the most unbelievable prehistoric places no one really knows about. In the heart of ancient Palestine, nestled against the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley, stands a towering testament to the forgotten past, Jericho Tower. A structure so enigmatic it calls into question the very nature of human civilization in the distant past. Though its foundations lie in the soft earth of one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities, the tower's purpose, design, and origins remain elusive, enticing both archaeologists and theorists with its quiet, inscrutable presence. The Jericho Tower, often referred to simply as the Tower of Jericho, rises from the landscape like a shadow of a bygone era. Discovered in the 1950s by British archaeologist Kathleen Kenyon, the structure is thought to have been constructed sometime around 8000 BC. At first glance, the tower appears simple, a circular stone structure that stands roughly 30 feet high, with thick walls that taper slightly as they ascend. Yet, beneath its unassuming exterior, lies a mystery that has yet to be unraveled. Built using massive stones, some weighing more than a ton, the tower seems to defy the expectations of its time. In a period where most human settlements were characterized by humble dwellings of mud and straw, Jericho Tower stands as a symbol of a different kind of early architectural prowess. But what was it for? Was it a watchtower, a monument, or something else entirely? The conventional theory suggests that the tower served as a defensive structure built to protect the inhabitants of Jericho from invading forces or wild animals. Its strategic location on a hill overlooking the surrounding plains might lend credence to this idea. Yet, there is something about its design that challenges this simple explanation. For one, the tower's walls are solid, with no obvious openings or windows. How, then, could it have been used for surveillance or defense? Was it perhaps a ceremonial structure, or even a form of early spiritual or ritualistic observance? As we look closer, a more intriguing possibility begins to emerge. Alongside the tower, a massive stone wall, even older than the tower itself, stretches across the site. This ancient fortification, made of large stones, encircles the settlement of Jericho, offering a glimpse into a people who possessed an intricate understanding of construction and urban planning. Was the tower simply an extension of this wall, an early attempt at monumental architecture? Or could it have been a central element of a larger, as yet unknown, cultural or religious practice? Some have speculated that the tower was linked to the cult of the dead, a possible indicator that the inhabitants of Jericho were part of an early society that placed significant importance on ritual and the afterlife. This theory is bolstered by the discovery of human skulls embedded in the tower's walls, skulls that had been deliberately altered. The significance of these skulls is hotly debated. Were they trophies, religious artifacts, or a form of ancestor worship? The presence of human remains suggests that the tower may have had a deeper, more symbolic function than previously thought. Still, there is an even more unsettling theory that casts the tower in an entirely different light. Could the structure have been part of a much older tradition, one that predates the known civilizations of Mesopotamia or Egypt? Some researchers have suggested that Jericho Tower might be a remnant of an advanced prehistoric society, one that was capable of constructing monumental structures long before the rise of writing, agriculture, or urban centers. Was Jericho once the seat of a long-lost civilization, whose knowledge was buried by the sands of time? The possibility of an advanced culture existing millennia before what we know as the dawn of civilization raises more questions than answers. Were the people of Jericho part of a network of ancient builders whose achievements were lost to history? Or is it possible that the tower and the wall that surrounds it are all that remain of a forgotten culture whose influence has long since faded from collective memory? And then there is the question of the tower's purpose. If it was not purely defensive or ceremonial, what could it have been? Was it a symbol of power? A place where the celestial and earthly realms intersected? Or perhaps, like so many ancient structures, it was meant to convey a sense of permanence, an attempt to defy the ravages of time and nature? In the end, Jericho Tower stands as a quiet, monumental enigma, a structure that continues to fascinate and mystify. With each new excavation and discovery, we peel back layers of history, yet the true meaning of the tower remains just out of reach. The answers lie buried in the past, waiting to be uncovered, if we only know where to look. Perhaps one day the tower will reveal its secrets. Until then, we are left with more questions than answers, and a lingering sense that there is much more to Jericho's story than meets the eye. As we leave behind the ancient stone walls of Jericho Tower, we venture deeper into the mysteries of the past, into a land where the sands of time have revealed yet another astonishing prehistoric site, virtually unknown to the world. Welcome to Nevali Çori, a site that has stunned archaeologists and historians alike, not just for its age, but for the complexity of its design, the questions it raises, and the shadows it casts over our understanding of early human society. Nestled in the hills of southern Turkey, near the banks of the Euphrates River, Nevali Çori is one of the most significant Neolithic settlements discovered in recent decades. Dating back to around 9000 BC, it predates the rise of the great civilizations by thousands of years. The site consists of a series of carefully arranged stone structures, including houses, a monumental platform, and a massive sanctuary, all meticulously constructed from large, expertly carved stones. The architecture at Nevali Çori challenges our assumptions about early human society, suggesting that the people who lived here possessed not only sophisticated engineering skills, but also a deep understanding of symbolism, ritual, and community. The most striking feature of Nevali Çori is the sanctuary, a structure that stands as a testament to the importance of religion or spiritual practice in early Neolithic life. Unlike other settlements of the period, Nevali Çori is not just a residential area, but also a site of worship, a place where the lines between the sacred and the mundane seem to blur. Within the sanctuary, archaeologists uncovered large stone pillars, each meticulously carved with intricate designs. These pillars, some standing over 10 feet tall, appear to represent human figures, possibly gods or ancestors, whose meanings are lost to time. Their imposing presence suggests that Nevali Çori was a place of immense significance, a focal point for those who lived there, and perhaps for those who came from surrounding areas to participate in religious rituals or ceremonies. What is truly remarkable about these stone pillars is the sheer scale of their construction. The craftsmanship involved in their carving is extraordinary, suggesting not only technical skill, but also a level of cultural sophistication that we rarely associate with societies of this time. How did these early Neolithic people, who had no writing systems, manage to produce such intricate and monumental works? What did these carvings represent, and how did they shape the lives of those who viewed them? These questions remain unanswered, adding layers of mystery to an already enigmatic site. But the questions surrounding Nevali Çori don't end with the pillars. As with many ancient sites, it is the unanswered details that fuel speculation. Why did the people of Nevali Çori build such a grand sanctuary? Why devote so much effort to erecting these towering stone figures? The scale of the site suggests that Nevali Çori was not just a village or a settlement, it was a center of power and belief. But was it simply a place for communal worship, or did the sanctuary serve a more complex purpose, perhaps as a site of pilgrimage or political authority? Some have even suggested that Nevali Çori could have been a ceremonial center that drew people from across the region, a precursor to the larger, more established religious centers that would later dominate the ancient world. And then there is the question of why the site was abandoned. Around 8000 BC, the settlement at Nevali Çori was mysteriously abandoned, and the sanctuary was sealed, leaving behind a site that seemed to have been left in haste. What happened to the people who lived here? Why did they leave? Some archaeologists believe that climate change, resource depletion, or internal social upheaval may have contributed to the abandonment, but the truth remains elusive. Was the site abandoned suddenly, or did the people of Nevali Çori gradually move away, their culture and practices fading into history? There are also those who suggest that Nevali Çori's sudden abandonment could have been connected to a larger, more mysterious event, perhaps something more cosmic in nature. Could the people of Nevali Çori, with their advanced understanding of the heavens, have been responding to astronomical events, perhaps even interpreting omens or celestial signs in ways we can only begin to understand? We know that the ancient peoples of this region had a deep connection to the stars, as evidenced by the carvings at other sites like Göbekli Tepe, which suggest a sophisticated knowledge of astronomy. Could the abandonment of Nevali Çori be linked to some kind of celestial event or natural disaster that was interpreted as a divine warning? In addition to the massive pillars, another striking feature of the site is the presence of animal carvings, figures of bulls, goats, and other creatures etched into the stone. These animal motifs suggest that the people of Nevali Çori had a deep connection to the natural world, perhaps viewing these animals as symbols of power or divinity. Some have proposed that these carvings were part of an early form of totemism or animal worship, a belief system that might have shaped their worldview in ways we cannot fully comprehend. What is perhaps most fascinating about Nevali Çori is the way it forces us to reconsider what we know about early human civilization. The site is older than the Egyptian pyramids, older than Stonehenge, and yet it shows us a society that was already capable of creating monumental structures, carving intricate stone pillars, and organizing complex spiritual practices. If these people were capable of such feats, what else might we be overlooking in our understanding of prehistoric societies? Was Nevali Çori a precursor to the great religious and cultural centers that would emerge in the ancient world? Or was it an isolated, almost forgotten experiment in human creativity and belief? One that, for reasons unknown, was abandoned and left to fade into the shadows of history. As we stand at the edge of this great mystery, we are left with more questions than answers. The ancient sanctuary of Nevali Çori still calls out to us, its stone pillars and carvings waiting to reveal their secrets. Perhaps, one day, we will uncover more about the people who built it, the beliefs they held, and the reasons why they left. Until then, we are left to wonder, what else might still be hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? As we continue our journey through the prehistoric world, leaving behind the ancient stones of Nevali Çori, we now turn our attention to a place hidden within the vast desert landscapes of southern Egypt, an enigmatic site that seems to transcend time itself. Here, in the remote expanses of the Nubian desert, lies the Nabta Playa stone complex, a place that has long puzzled researchers and ignited the imaginations of those fascinated by ancient civilizations. Nabta Playa is a sprawling, mysterious archaeological site nestled between the rocky hills and the shifting sands, far from the ancient cities of the Nile. It is a place of silence and solitude where the stone structures seem to hum with the weight of millennia. The site consists of a series of large, carefully placed stones arranged in formations that are thought to date back to around 5000 BC. Yet, as with so many ancient sites, its purpose and meaning remain an enigma. The most striking feature of Nabta Playa is its impressive stone circle, an arrangement of massive upright stones that evokes comparisons to other megalithic structures like Stonehenge, though it predates that famous site by thousands of years. The circle, however, is just the beginning. Scattered across the desert floor, there are other stone alignments, solitary stones, and even strange, intricately carved stone slabs. These arrangements seem to be more than simple markers or boundary stones. There's a deliberate quality to the layout, a sense that these stones were placed with a specific purpose in mind, though that purpose remains elusive. The primary mystery surrounding Nabta Playa revolves around its astronomical significance. The stone circle itself has been aligned with the stars, particularly the sun and the stars of the southern sky. Scholars believe that it may have been used as an ancient observatory, a place where early humans studied the heavens and recorded celestial events. This is not just speculation. The layout of the stones suggests an advanced understanding of astronomy, far earlier than what we would traditionally associate with ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. In fact, some researchers have suggested that Nabta Playa could have been part of an even older astronomical tradition, one that predates the rise of Egypt's great pyramids and temples by centuries. The stones appear to be positioned in a way that marks the solstices and equinoxes, which would have been crucial for the agricultural societies that later emerged in the region. But the complexity of the site raises further questions. Was Nabta Playa merely an observatory, or did it also serve as a site for rituals tied to the cycles of the sun and stars? The site's alignment with the celestial bodies suggests that the people who built it may have believed that the heavens held powerful significance, perhaps even shaping their understanding of life, death, and the cosmos itself. However, the astronomical theory alone does not fully account for the peculiarities of Nabta Playa. While many of the stones appear to be aligned with the stars, there are other stones that seem to serve an entirely different function. Some of the carvings on the stones depict what appear to be animals, cattle, antelopes, and other creatures. These motifs raise intriguing questions about the relationship between the builders of Nabta Playa and the natural world around them. Were the stones part of a form of early totemism or animal worship, where the celestial bodies and the animals were believed to be connected in some spiritual or symbolic way? Were the animals a reflection of a society that was closely tied to the land, reliant on herds for survival? Moreover, the site also features a number of stone slabs that have been carved with abstract symbols, some of which appear to represent faces or figures. These carvings remain largely undeciphered, but they hint at a belief system or cultural practice that is far more complex than previously imagined. Could these carvings represent early attempts at writing, a precursor to the systems of written language that would emerge in Mesopotamia and Egypt? Or were they symbolic representations of deities or mythological figures, reflecting a rich, untold mythology? The absence of any written records leaves these questions open to interpretation, and the meanings behind these symbols may never be fully understood. One of the most striking features of Nabta Playa is its location. Situated far from the Nile River, in a desert that now appears inhospitable and barren, it raises the question, why build such an elaborate site here in such a remote and harsh environment? The answer may lie in the changing climate of the region. Some scholars believe that Nabta Playa was once a much wetter place, with lakes and rivers flowing through the area, creating a more hospitable environment. It is possible that the site was built during a time when the landscape was drastically different, and the desert was a vibrant, life-sustaining environment. The role of water in the site's location also adds an intriguing layer to the mystery. Some researchers have speculated that the positioning of the stones may have been designed to reflect the ancient water sources in the area, pointing to a belief in water as a vital force, both spiritually and practically. Did the people who built Nabta Playa view the site as a connection between the earth, the heavens, and the life-giving power of water? Despite decades of excavation and research, the full purpose of Nabta Playa remains unclear. Was it a place of astronomical observation, a religious center, or perhaps both? Did it serve as a meeting point for different tribes or cultures, a place where people gathered not only for ceremonies but for knowledge exchange, marking the dawn of early intellectual traditions? Or was it a ceremonial center tied to agricultural cycles, aligning the people with the natural rhythms of the earth and sky? As we stand at the edge of the vast desert, staring at the stone circle and its companions, the questions linger. The stones, weathered by time and the elements, hold their secrets close. The answers may be lost forever, buried beneath centuries of sand and shifting landscapes. But perhaps, in the silence of Nabta Playa, there is still something to be learned, something yet to be discovered that will illuminate the early history of humanity and the profound connection our ancestors had with the stars, the earth, and the mysteries of the cosmos. What remains hidden beneath the sands of Nabta Playa? And what might we learn, should we one day uncover the rest of its secrets? As the vast desert landscapes of Nabta Playa fade into the horizon, we find ourselves drawn to a place equally enigmatic, yet far removed from the arid sands of Egypt. Deep in the heart of South Africa, nestled among the rolling hills of the Mpumalanga region, lies a site known as Adam's Calendar. Hidden beneath the overgrown foliage, it is a complex arrangement of stones, both ancient and weathered, that, like the stone circles of Nabta Playa, speak of a distant past that remains shrouded in mystery. Adam's Calendar, sometimes referred to as the Stonehenge of South Africa, consists of large, carefully positioned stones arranged in a circular formation. At first glance, it might appear to be an unassuming group of boulders, eroded by time and the elements. But the more one examines the site, the more it becomes clear that these stones are not mere geological formations. They have been shaped and placed with an intent that goes far beyond natural processes. The centerpiece of the site is a large, flat stone known as the Sunstone, which is believed to have been used as an ancient calendar or timekeeping device. Around this central stone are other upright stones, arranged in a manner that suggests they were used to track celestial events. Like the great megalithic sites across the globe, Adam's Calendar is believed to have served as an observatory, a place where the movements of the sun and stars were carefully monitored. But unlike most of its counterparts, Adam's Calendar is nestled in the heart of Africa, thousands of miles from any known advanced civilization of the time. The date of its construction is a topic of heated debate. Some believe that the calendar was erected over 75,000 years ago, making it not only one of the oldest known stone circles, but also a testament to the advanced knowledge of the people who built it. If this theory is accurate, it would push back the origins of advanced astronomical knowledge by millennia, challenging our understanding of human history and civilization. But if Adam's Calendar is indeed that old, how could such an ancient society possess the skills to construct such a precise, calculated structure? What did they know about the heavens that we have yet to uncover? The conventional view suggests that the site was constructed by the indigenous San people who have lived in the region for thousands of years. But this explanation, while plausible, does little to explain the sheer sophistication of the stone arrangement. The precision with which the stones align with the sun and the stars is remarkable. The calendar stone, for example, is perfectly positioned to track the solstices, marking the longest and shortest days of the year. The other stones are thought to have been used to track lunar cycles and the movements of certain stars, suggesting that the people who built Adam's calendar possessed a deep understanding of astronomy. Yet there are those who speculate that the origins of Adam's calendar stretch far beyond the Sand People. Some have proposed that the site may be much older, possibly constructed by a lost civilization, one that predates even the ancient Egyptians. Could this stone circle be a relic of an advanced society that existed long before the rise of known ancient cultures? The idea that such an advanced structure could have been built by a forgotten civilization is tantalizing, but it raises further questions. Who were these people, and where did they come from? What drove them to build such a site in this remote corner of the world? Some theories suggest that Adam's calendar may have been built by early humans who possessed knowledge passed down from even older cultures, perhaps dating back to the dawn of humanity itself. Others point to the possibility of extraterrestrial influence, citing the site's sophisticated astronomical alignments as evidence of outside intervention. Though such ideas remain speculative, they underscore the mystery surrounding Adam's calendar and the sheer uncertainty of its origins. Intriguingly, the site's location also adds another layer of intrigue. Adam's calendar sits on a high plateau overlooking the valleys below. The surrounding landscape is dotted with other stone circles and ancient ruins, some of which appear to be far older than anything we know in recorded history. Is Adam's calendar part of a larger, more complex network of prehistoric sites? And if so, what might this network reveal about the people who lived here and their connection to the stars? There are also questions about the symbolic significance of the stones. Could they have represented something more than a simple means of tracking time? Some researchers have suggested that Adam's calendar may have been a place of spiritual significance, a site where ancient rituals or ceremonies were performed. The alignment of the stones with celestial events could have been seen as a way to connect with the divine or the cosmic forces believed to govern the universe. Could the people who built Adam's calendar have viewed the heavens as a bridge between the earth and the gods? And if so, what did they believe they could achieve by aligning their lives with the movements of the stars? Despite numerous studies and excavations, much of the mystery of Adam's calendar remains unresolved. No written records exist to tell us who built the site or why it was constructed. What we are left with are the stones themselves, standing quietly in the South African landscape, waiting to share their secrets with those who are willing to listen. The theories surrounding Adam's calendar only deepen the mystery. Was it built by early humans with a profound understanding of the cosmos, or does the site date back to an even older, lost civilization with knowledge that we have yet to comprehend? And why does the calendar seem to be positioned so precisely in the landscape, as though it was built with a specific purpose in mind, one that we have not yet fully uncovered? As we reflect on the mysteries of Adam's calendar, one thing becomes clear. There is still so much we do not know about our ancient ancestors and their connection to the stars. The site remains a silent witness to a forgotten past, its stones and their celestial alignments standing as a testament to the unknown people who once stood in awe of the same night sky we gaze at today. Perhaps in the years to come, further research and discoveries will shed light on the true purpose of Adam's calendar. But for now, we are left to wonder, what other hidden secrets might lie beneath the surface of this ancient site, waiting to be discovered? As we leave behind the mystery of Adam's calendar and the vast landscapes of South Africa, we travel northeast to a remote corner of Armenia, where yet another ancient site beckons us with its quiet but undeniable presence. This is Carahunge, an extraordinary stone observatory that stands as a silent sentinel over the history of human understanding of the cosmos. Like the stone circles and megalithic structures we've explored so far, Carahunge seems to defy simple explanation, offering more questions than answers. Carahunge, often referred to as Armenia's Stonehenge, is located in the southern part of the country near the town of Sisian. At first glance, the site appears to be a collection of upright stones, scattered across a hillside, arranged in patterns that suggest deliberate intent. But it is not just the number or the size of the stones that commands attention, it is the striking alignment and the astronomical significance that these stones seem to hold. Carahunge consists of over 200 megalithic stones, many of which have holes drilled into them, and these stones are carefully positioned to align with celestial events, much like the ancient observatories we've seen in places like Nabta, Playa, and the British Isles. The most remarkable feature of Carahunge is its alignment with the stars, particularly the sun, the moon, and certain constellations. The site is thought to have been used for astronomical observation, possibly as early as 3000 BC, though some researchers suggest that it could be even older. Like other ancient sites dedicated to the study of the cosmos, Carahunge appears to have been a place where early humans came together to mark the passage of time, track celestial cycles, and perhaps even engage in rituals linked to the heavens. What sets Carahunge apart from other megalithic structures is the mysterious holes that are drilled into many of the stones. These holes, some of which are perfectly round and measure several inches across, have long puzzled researchers. Could they have been used for some sort of ancient method of timekeeping? Were they used for ritual purposes, or perhaps to observe specific stars or celestial bodies as they passed through the sky? The holes align with certain stars in the night sky, leading some scholars to speculate that they were used as an early form of telescope, allowing the ancient people of this region to track celestial events with remarkable precision. The alignment of the stones with the stars raises even more intriguing questions. Some researchers have suggested that the site was designed to track the movements of the stars over the course of the year, marking key astronomical events such as solstices and equinoxes. This could have had practical implications for agriculture, as many ancient cultures relied on the position of the sun and stars to guide planting and harvesting cycles. But could there have been a deeper, more symbolic purpose behind the arrangement of these stones? Was Carahunge simply an observatory, or was it a sacred site, one that connected the people who built it to the heavens, allowing them to communicate with the divine or the cosmic forces they believed governed their lives? The fact that Carahunge is located in Armenia, an area that was home to one of the world's earliest known civilizations, adds another layer of mystery. The region was a hub of cultural exchange and technological innovation long before the rise of ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. Could the people who built Carahunge have been part of an advanced society whose knowledge of the cosmos rivaled that of other ancient cultures? Or was this site a solitary effort, the work of a small, isolated group who developed their understanding of the stars in relative isolation? As with many ancient sites, there are competing theories about the origins of Carahunge. While the mainstream view suggests that the site was created by the early inhabitants of the region, other, more speculative theories have emerged over the years. Some have proposed that Carahunge could be the work of a much older civilization, one that predates even the Sumerians. This idea is supported by the sheer scale and precision of the site, which seems to suggest a level of knowledge and organization that would have been difficult for the early Bronze Age people of the region to achieve. Could Carahunge be a relic of an even older, forgotten civilization, one whose knowledge of the stars and the heavens was lost to time? There are also those who suggest that the site could have been built with the help of extraterrestrial knowledge or influence. The alignment of the stones with the stars, combined with the precision of the drilled holes, leads some to speculate that Carahunge might represent a connection between early humans and beings from beyond the Earth. While such theories remain on the fringe, they continue to capture the imaginations of those who wonder about humanity's true origins and the role the cosmos played in shaping our understanding of the world. Adding to the mystery of Carahunge is the surrounding landscape. The site is perched on a hill, overlooking the vast plains below, with the distant silhouette of Mount Ararat rising in the background. This dramatic setting suggests that Carahunge was not just an observatory, but also a place of great spiritual significance. The view of the surrounding mountains and the open sky would have made it a perfect location for rituals, ceremonies, or gatherings, where the stars themselves could be seen as an integral part of the cultural and spiritual life of the people. Despite the extensive research and excavation efforts that have taken place at Carahunge, many aspects of the site remain unresolved. The exact purpose of the drilled holes, the meaning of the stone alignments, and the identity of the people who built the site are still the subjects of much debate. Was Carahunge simply a place to observe the stars, or was it a ceremonial center with a deeper, more symbolic purpose? Could it have been a gathering place for people who sought to understand the rhythms of the universe, or was it a more personal site, a place where individuals came to seek answers from the heavens themselves? As we stand at the edge of Carahunge, contemplating its weathered stones and the vast sky above, we are left with the same questions that have intrigued researchers and explorers for centuries. The ancient stones hold their secrets tightly, refusing to offer up their full story. The answers may be buried in the past, waiting to be uncovered, or perhaps they remain beyond our reach, lost to the sands of time. Whatever the case may be, Carahunge stands as a testament to the ancient human desire to understand the cosmos and our place within it. Its stones, scattered across the hills, still stand in silent vigil over the land, waiting for us to unlock their mysteries and discover the true significance of this forgotten observatory. What else remains hidden in the shadow of Carahunge? And what can we learn from the people who, millennia ago, looked to the stars and sought to understand the universe beyond? As we leave behind the ancient stones of Carahunge, we now journey to the heart of North America, where another ancient and mysterious site awaits. In the state of Louisiana, near the banks of the Mississippi River, lies a place that remains as baffling and intriguing as the megalithic observatories we've explored. This site is Poverty Point, an immense earthwork that challenges our understanding of prehistoric societies and their capabilities. At first glance, Poverty Point seems deceptively simple, a series of earthen mounds, ridges, and circular formations scattered across the flat landscape. But as we look closer, we begin to see that these are not just random piles of dirt. These are the remnants of one of the most complex and advanced prehistoric constructions in the Americas, dating back to around 1700 BC. What was once a thriving, bustling center of activity is now a quiet and solemn place where the wind whispers across the ancient earth, but the echoes of the people who built it seem to have faded into history. The site's most striking feature is its massive, concentric rings of earth, which are arranged in a manner that suggests both precision and intentionality. These rings, which encircle a central plaza, are surrounded by long, sweeping ridges that stretch for hundreds of meters. At the heart of the earthworks, there are large, flat platforms, suggesting that this was a place of gathering, perhaps for ceremonial events or social gatherings. The scale of the earthworks at Poverty Point is staggering, with some of the ridges reaching heights of up to 10 feet and lengths that extend over a mile. It's a monumental feat of engineering, especially considering the time in which it was constructed. What is particularly fascinating about Poverty Point is that it predates any known agricultural society in North America. The people who built these earthworks did not have the plows, tools, or infrastructure that later civilizations would use to construct such massive projects. Instead, the builders of Poverty Point relied on hunting, gathering, and fishing to sustain their communities. The scale of the earthworks suggests that these people had an intricate understanding of the land and its resources, using advanced methods of construction and organization that remain a mystery to this day. Theories about the purpose of Poverty Point abound. The most widely accepted explanation is that the site served as a ceremonial center, a place where people from different regions gathered to trade, celebrate, and engage in religious or social rituals. The site's layout, with its large central plaza and surrounding mounds, suggests that it could have been a place of gathering for large groups, perhaps to observe astronomical events or participate in elaborate rituals. The orientation of the earthworks also points to a possible alignment with certain celestial events, much like other ancient sites we've examined. The fact that these people were able to construct such an intricate site without the use of written language or advanced tools is a testament to their ingenuity and organizational skills. But there are elements of Poverty Point that defy simple explanations. The construction of the earthworks required an enormous amount of labor and resources. It is estimated that the builders moved millions of cubic yards of earth to create the site. How did these people, who did not have the wheel or advanced transportation methods, accomplish such a feat? And why did they choose to build such an elaborate site in this particular location? Could there have been a more profound, spiritual reason behind the construction of Poverty Point? Some theories suggest that the site may have been a place of astronomical observation, like the ancient observatories of Nabta, Playa, and Carahunge. The alignment of the earthworks with the sun and the changing seasons raises the possibility that the people who built Poverty Point used the site to track celestial events, marking the passage of time and guiding their agricultural activities. Other scholars propose that the earthworks were part of an elaborate trade network, with Poverty Point serving as a hub for the exchange of goods and ideas between different cultures across North America. In addition to the earthworks themselves, excavations at Poverty Point have uncovered a wealth of artifacts, including tools, pottery, and even figurines made from stone and clay. These artifacts suggest that the people who lived at Poverty Point were not just skilled builders, but also artists and craftsmen. The figurines, some of which resemble animals or abstract shapes, hint at a culture that placed great importance on symbolism and artistic expression. Some researchers have even suggested that the figurines could have had a ritualistic purpose, representing deities or spirits associated with the natural world. Perhaps the most perplexing aspect of Poverty Point is its sudden abandonment. By around 1200 BC, the site appears to have been deserted, with no clear explanation as to why. The earthworks remained standing, but the people who had once gathered there vanished, leaving behind only their stone tools and the enigmatic mounds they had built. Was the site abandoned due to a shift in climate, a change in social or political structures, or some other mysterious factor? The disappearance of the Poverty Point culture remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of ancient North America. Adding to the mystery is the question of who these people were. The builders of Poverty Point left no written records, and little is known about their origins. Archaeologists believe that they were part of a larger cultural network that spanned much of the southeastern United States, but their exact identity remains elusive. Some have speculated that the people of Poverty Point were part of an early Native American civilization, while others propose that they may have been a distinct, now forgotten culture. Could they have been connected to other ancient civilizations in the Americas, or were they entirely isolated in their knowledge and achievements? As we stand in the quiet expanse of Poverty Point today, the earthen ridges and mounds spread out before us like the skeletal remains of a lost civilization. The site's grandeur and complexity speak to the ingenuity and organization of its builders, but its true purpose and meaning remain shrouded in mystery. What were these people trying to achieve? What was the role of Poverty Point in their lives? And what led to the sudden disappearance of the culture that built it? The questions surrounding Poverty Point continue to intrigue archaeologists and historians, and yet the answers remain elusive. The earthworks stand as a silent testament to a people whose knowledge and accomplishments still seem ahead of their time. Perhaps, in the years to come, further excavation and research will shed light on the site's true purpose and reveal more about the people who created it. Until then, the mystery of Poverty Point endures, inviting us to wonder what else remains hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered. As we leave the winding earthworks of Poverty Point behind, we journey deep into the jungles of Colombia, where another ancient and enigmatic site awaits. Here, tucked in the rolling hills of the Andean foothills, lies the San Agustin Ceremonial Complex, a place where towering stone statues and massive tombs bear silent witness to a long-lost culture. Like many of the prehistoric places we've explored, San Agustin raises more questions than answers, offering tantalizing glimpses into a world that once thrived, but whose people and practices have since vanished into the mists of time. San Agustin is not just a site, it is a landscape of mystery, where over 500 statues and monumental stone carvings emerge from the thick vegetation. These statues, some standing as tall as 20 feet, represent human figures, animals, and mysterious beings that seem to look down upon the earth with a sense of ancient wisdom. They are positioned near tombs, ceremonial plazas, and watercourses, suggesting that this was a place of profound spiritual or ritual significance. The air around San Agustin feels charged with a quiet power, as though the land itself holds the secrets of those who built it. The most striking feature of San Agustin is its impressive array of statues, which are carved from volcanic rock. These figures are not merely decorative, they are intricately detailed, often with exaggerated facial features, large eyes, and stylized bodies. The largest of these statues depicts a variety of creatures, from jaguars and birds to mythological figures, many of which appear to blend human and animal traits. This blending of forms suggests a culture that did not see strict divisions between the human and the natural world, a culture that believed in the power and symbolism of animals, perhaps seeing them as spiritual guides or guardians. The statues at San Agustin are arranged in a series of ceremonial platforms, with large stone-lined tombs placed near the statues. These tombs, known as hypogeums, are massive burial chambers carved into the rock, where the dead were placed with offerings of pottery, figurines, and other ritual objects. The tombs and statues suggest that San Agustin was a ceremonial center, possibly used for burial rituals, religious ceremonies, and other sacred activities. The complexity of the site, its precise construction, the size of the tombs, and the careful positioning of the statues indicates a high level of organization and cultural sophistication. But while much is known about the physical features of San Agustin, much remains shrouded in mystery. The people who built the site, known as the Agustinianos, left no written records, and little is known about their origins or their cultural practices. The exact dates of the construction are also debated. Mainstream scholars place the site's development somewhere between 1000 BC and 300 AD, but some suggest the construction of the statues could date back even further, possibly to as early as 3000 BC. One of the most perplexing aspects of San Agustin is the symbolism embedded in the statues themselves. The human figures often have exaggerated facial features, large eyes, furrowed brows, and thick lips, that seem to suggest a cultural significance tied to vision, insight, or spiritual awareness. Some researchers have proposed that these figures represent deities or ancestors, while others suggest they may be representations of shamanic figures or spiritual leaders. There is also the possibility that these statues served as guardians of the tombs, intended to watch over the dead and protect their journey into the afterlife. Adding to the intrigue is the mysterious Alto de los Ídolos, Hill of the Idols, a central area within the complex where a large number of statues are gathered in a seemingly deliberate configuration. The arrangement of these statues, along with their clear alignment with the surrounding landscape, has led some to believe that they were intended to mark specific celestial events or cosmic cycles. Could San Agustin have functioned as an astronomical observatory, much like the stone circles of Europe or the ancient sites in the Near East. The alignment of the statues with certain natural features, such as mountain peaks and rivers, suggests a cultural connection to the landscape, a way of binding the heavens, the earth, and the human world together. The stones of San Agustín are also decorated with intricate carvings of animals and faces, some of which appear to be part of a larger symbolic language. These carvings, while mysterious, seem to suggest a deep connection between the people of San Agustín and the natural world. Did these figures and motifs represent stories or myths passed down through generations? Or were they part of a more complex, ritualistic language, a way to communicate with the spirits or gods of the land? The absence of written records leaves much of this open to interpretation, and the meaning of these carvings remains as elusive as the purpose of the statues themselves. The tombs at San Agustín are another key piece of the puzzle. Carved into the rock and often adorned with statues of human figures, these tombs were clearly sites of great significance. Yet, unlike the burial practices of other ancient cultures, the Agustinianos did not bury their dead in simple graves. Instead, they created elaborate, stone-lined crypts, sometimes filled with offerings to the deceased. What do these burial practices tell us about their beliefs in death, the afterlife, and the role of ancestors in daily life? Were these tombs places of power, where the spirits of the dead were believed to continue watching over the living? Despite decades of excavation, much about San Agustín remains unknown. While the site is one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in South America, it is also one of the most enigmatic. The purpose of the statues, the identity of the people who built them, and the meaning behind the complex's layout are still subjects of debate among scholars and researchers. Some have proposed that the Agustinianos were part of an ancient shamanic tradition, while others argue that the site was a center of political or religious power. Could the site have been a place of pilgrimage for surrounding cultures, or was it primarily a local center for rituals and ceremonies? As we stand before the statues of San Agustín today, we are left with more questions than answers. The massive stone figures, carved from volcanic rock, stand silently in the jungle, watching over the tombs and the land that once reverberated with the sounds of ancient ceremonies. The people who built this place left behind no written record, and their secrets have been buried in the earth for centuries. What did they believe? What knowledge did they possess? And what, if anything, remains hidden beneath the soil of this ceremonial complex, waiting to be uncovered by future generations? The mystery of San Agustín endures, urging us to look deeper, question further, and wonder about the cultures that came before us and the worlds they built. As we leave behind the mystifying monuments of San Agustín, we venture further into the unexplored realms of prehistoric monuments, this time to a small, often overlooked site tucked away in the Ethiopian highlands. The Tiya stone monuments, located in the southern region of the country, are a remarkable yet cryptic testament to a culture that once flourished in this area, long before the kingdoms of the ancient world began to rise. Here, amidst the expansive rolling fields of the Rift Valley, stands a set of enigmatic stones, some of which have been standing for more than 2,000 years. At first glance, the Tiya site seems deceptively simple, a collection of upright stones scattered across the landscape. But as we look closer, a more intricate and profound mystery begins to unfold. These stones are not naturally occurring. They have been carefully shaped and arranged in a purposeful manner, suggesting that they hold meaning far beyond their utilitarian appearance. The Tiya stones are an archaeological enigma, massive pillars and carved stones arranged in parallel rows, many of which are adorned with intricate carvings, including abstract symbols and human figures. The sheer scale and precision of their arrangement imply that the people who built them had a sophisticated understanding of art, religion, and geometry. What is most striking about the Tiya site is the remarkable consistency of the stone markers. There are 36 known upright stones scattered throughout the site, and they are all oriented in a similar direction, as though they were aligned with specific celestial or geographical markers. Some of the stones reach heights of up to 6 feet, while others are more modest in size. These stones are scattered across a large area, but they seem to form a series of groups hinting at a deliberate organization, though the exact purpose of the site remains unclear. The carvings that adorn many of the stones are equally enigmatic. Some of the stones are etched with human figures, their faces adorned with geometric patterns and symbols. Other stones are carved with abstract shapes, patterns that could represent anything from celestial bodies to ritualistic motifs. The carvings do not appear to follow any known style from the surrounding cultures, suggesting that the people who created them had a unique artistic language. The interpretations of these carvings remain speculative. Some researchers believe that they represent deities or ancestors, while others suggest they may have been used as a form of written communication, perhaps a rudimentary system of writing, much like the early pictographs found in other ancient civilizations. The true purpose of the Tiya stone monuments is one of the greatest mysteries surrounding the site. While some scholars believe that the site served as a burial ground, the absence of human remains has left many unanswered questions. Excavations have revealed no evidence of graves or tombs in the immediate vicinity of the stones, which has led to alternative theories about their purpose. Some suggest that the site was a place for ritualistic or ceremonial gatherings, possibly a sanctuary or a space for religious observance. The presence of large, upright stones could indicate a connection to the ancestral or spiritual world, a place where the living would have communed with the dead or the divine. Others propose that the site was part of an astronomical observatory, much like the ancient stone circles of Europe. The alignment of the stones with the horizon, the movement of the sun, and perhaps even the moon, suggests a connection to the cycles of time and the natural world. It's possible that the people who built the Tiya site had an understanding of the stars, using the stones to track celestial events or as a way to mark the passage of seasons. If the Tiya stones did indeed serve as an astronomical calendar, it would indicate a sophisticated knowledge of the cosmos, likely tied to agricultural or ritual practices. But the mystery surrounding the Tiya stones doesn't end with their function or symbolism. One of the most puzzling aspects of the site is the identity of the people who created it. The Tiya monuments are thought to date from the 3rd century BC, but their creators remain a matter of speculation. Some archaeologists believe that the site was built by the Aga people, an ancient group native to the Ethiopian highlands. Others suggest that the site could be the work of an entirely different yet unknown culture, perhaps one that was displaced or assimilated by later groups. The lack of written records from the period makes it difficult to pinpoint who these people were and what language or traditions they followed. What we are left with are the stones themselves, silent, unyielding, and filled with questions. Another intriguing aspect of the Tiya stones is the presence of several stones that are uniquely shaped like giant, stylized anthropomorphic figures. These carvings seem to depict human-like beings, but with exaggerated features, often including large heads and geometric faces. What do these figures represent? Are they deities, ancestors, or symbols of power and authority? Some have suggested that they could be representations of warriors, while others argue that they might be supernatural figures meant to protect the site or the community. Could these figures have been connected to the spirits of the dead, guiding the souls of the departed on their journey to the afterlife? Despite its remote location and the lack of extensive research, the Tiya site holds significant archaeological importance. It is one of the few examples of large-scale megalithic construction in sub-Saharan Africa, a region that is not often associated with such monuments. The Tiya stone monuments provide a fascinating glimpse into a culture that, despite its evident sophistication, has left little trace beyond the stones that remain. Their significance, both as physical structures and as symbols of a lost civilization, is profound, offering insights into the ways ancient societies related to the divine, the natural world, and the cosmos. So why did the people of Tiya leave these stones behind? And why did they do so in this remote part of Ethiopia? What drove them to create such a unique and enduring monument? One that remains, for the most part, a mystery. The answers to these questions may never be fully understood. The absence of written records and the vagueness of the archaeological evidence leave much to the imagination, and much is still to be uncovered. As we stand among these ancient stones today, their weathered faces staring out across the Ethiopian landscape, we are left to wonder, what knowledge was lost in the creation of the Tiya stone monuments? Were these stones part of a larger cultural or spiritual framework, or did they represent something far more personal, tied to the identity and beliefs of those who lived here? As we contemplate the carvings and the empty space around the stones, we realize that the mystery of Tiya is far from over. And perhaps, in some forgotten corner of the earth, more stones lie waiting to be uncovered. Stones that could reveal more about the people who once placed them in this sacred, enigmatic landscape. As we leave behind the ancient Tiya stone monuments, our journey continues, winding its way toward a site even more obscure and enigmatic. In a remote valley, nestled deep within the mountainous landscape of Palestine, lies a solitary stone, one that has long been a subject of speculation, awe, and mystery. This stone, known as the Bashplemi Stone, stands alone in its quiet isolation, but its size, shape, and position in the landscape suggest a profound significance, one that we may only begin to understand through further investigation. The Bashplemi Stone is an imposing monolith, standing tall at nearly 10 feet high and weighing several tons. Its rough, unpolished surface stands in stark contrast to the smooth, weathered surfaces of more familiar megalithic sites, yet it bears the unmistakable mark of human intervention. Unlike many other ancient stones, which may be arranged in carefully planned patterns or sites, the Bashplemi Stone seems to stand alone in the wilds of the landscape, its back turned toward the hills and its face toward the horizon. It rises from the earth like an ancient sentinel, silently observing the passage of time, untouched by centuries of weather and erosion. Its position is equally intriguing. It sits near the top of a ridge, perfectly aligned with the surrounding hills, creating a direct line of sight to certain distant features in the landscape, suggesting that its placement was far from random. What is immediately striking about the Bashplemi Stone is its size. The sheer weight and volume of the stone suggest a level of effort and organization far beyond what one might expect from primitive societies. The stone is not naturally occurring in the area, indicating that it was likely quarried and transported to its current location, a feat that would have required advanced knowledge of tools, labor organization, and possibly transportation techniques. But why go to such lengths to move and place a stone in this isolated area, far from any known settlements or trade routes? Theories surrounding the Bashplemi Stone's purpose range from the practical to the speculative. Mainstream archaeologists suggest that the stone may have been a boundary marker, a way for ancient societies to mark the edges of their territories or sacred spaces. Its size and prominent position in the landscape would certainly make it an effective marker, visible from miles away, perhaps even from the vantage points of surrounding settlements or neighboring tribes. But the true purpose of the stone may have been far more symbolic or spiritual than merely functional. Some researchers propose that the Bashplemi Stone could have been part of a larger ritualistic or ceremonial site. The solitary placement of the stone, facing the horizon and aligned with the surrounding hills, raises the possibility that it was used in some form of worship or astronomical observation. The site's location near the top of a ridge, overlooking valleys and rivers below, suggests that it could have been a place of power, where the forces of nature and the divine could be observed and understood. If the stone was indeed used for rituals or ceremonies, it might have been a site for offerings, sacrifices, or prayers, marking the intersection between the physical and spiritual worlds. Another theory posits that the stone could have been part of an early form of a calendar or timekeeping system. Some have noted that its alignment with certain geographic features may correspond to the rising or setting of celestial bodies at specific times of the year. Could the Bashplemi Stone have been used to track the movements of the sun, moon, or stars? If so, it might suggest that the people who erected it had a sophisticated understanding of celestial cycles, much like the ancient peoples of Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Did the stone serve as a marker for key events in the agricultural calendar, such as the solstices or equinoxes, times when the alignment of the sun and stars would have held great significance for early communities? There is also the possibility that the Bashplemi Stone was not just a solitary marker, but part of a larger, now lost network of similar stones scattered across the region. Could there have been other stones, now buried or destroyed, that were once aligned with the Bashplemi Stone, forming a complex web of astronomical or spiritual markers? If this was the case, it would imply a much more intricate and sophisticated use of landscape than we typically associate with prehistoric societies. Some fringe theories offer even more speculative explanations. Could the Bashplemi Stone be connected to an ancient, lost civilization, one whose influence and knowledge stretched far beyond the bounds of the known world? There are those who suggest that it could be a relic of a society with advanced knowledge of astronomy, architecture, or even mathematics, capabilities that appear far ahead of their time. Could the stone, standing in isolation, be a marker of a much older civilization now forgotten by history? Some have even suggested that the Bashplemi Stone could be linked to extraterrestrial visitors, based on its unusual location and the extraordinary effort it would have taken to place such a massive stone at such a remote site. While these theories remain speculative, they add another layer of mystery to an already enigmatic site. Adding to the mystery is the lack of definitive archaeological evidence at the Bashplemi Stone site. Despite numerous attempts to excavate and study the area, little has been found to provide a clear understanding of who built the stone or why. There are no clear signs of human habitation near the site, and no nearby settlements have been definitively linked to the stone's construction. The lack of artifacts or other clues has led some researchers to propose that the stone might have been erected by a nomadic or semi-nomadic people who left little physical trace of their presence in the area. Others argue that the stone might be much older than previously thought, perhaps predating known civilizations in the region by thousands of years. As we contemplate the Bashplemi Stone today, standing tall against the backdrop of the Palestinian hills, we are left with more questions than answers. Was it simply a boundary marker, or was it part of a larger ritualistic or astronomical system? Did it serve a practical purpose, or was it meant to invoke the power of the gods? The stone, its face worn by centuries of wind and rain, seems to guard its secrets tightly, offering only the most fleeting hints of its true purpose. What remains hidden beneath the soil, or behind the stone's silent gaze? Could there be more stones in the landscape, waiting to be discovered, that would shed light on the purpose of this ancient marker? Or was the Bashplemi Stone simply a solitary sentinel, standing alone in the wilderness, its meaning lost to time, but its presence still casting a shadow over the land? The mystery of the Bashplemi Stone persists, challenging our understanding of the people who once walked this land and the knowledge they left behind. As we stand before it, we are reminded that the stones and structures of the ancient world have stories to tell, stories that may never fully be uncovered, but which continue to inspire wonder and curiosity, urging us to seek deeper and to ask the questions that remain unanswered. As we leave behind the solitary Bashplemi Stone and its silent mystery, we now travel to the dense, untamed hills of India, to a place that has long been a subject of intrigue for archaeologists and historians alike. Here, nestled amidst the dense forests of the Mahendragiri range in the eastern part of the country, lies an ancient site, the Mahendragiri megalithic structures. Though relatively unknown to the wider world, this site is a testament to a forgotten culture whose people left behind a complex series of megalithic structures scattered across the slopes of the hills. The site of Mahendragiri is not just a collection of stones. It is a landscape filled with monumental remains that speak to a deep and ancient relationship between humanity and the natural world. The megalithic structures at Mahendragiri are a series of stone monuments, dolmens, menhirs, and other stone formations, arranged in clusters across the hills. Some of these stones stand upright, while others form irregular, almost labyrinthine patterns across the rocky terrain. These structures vary in size and shape, but all seem to share a sense of purposeful alignment with the natural features of the land. The most striking of these megaliths are the massive dolmens, rectangular stone chambers that once likely served as burial sites for the ancient inhabitants of the region. The dolmens at Mahendragiri are impressive in their construction, with large stone slabs used to create chambers that may have been covered by earth or smaller stones. These chambers were most likely used for the burial of important individuals, perhaps leaders or spiritual figures, whose bodies were laid to rest in these carefully constructed stone tombs. The design of the dolmens suggests a high degree of architectural knowledge, as the builders were able to move and position large stones, some weighing several tons, with remarkable precision. In addition to the dolmens, the site also contains a series of upright stones, or menhirs, scattered across the landscape. These standing stones, some towering over 10 feet high, are positioned in seemingly random locations, their arrangement suggesting a deliberate connection to the surrounding topography. Some menhirs are aligned with the peaks of nearby mountains, while others seem to point toward specific natural features such as rivers, valleys, or even the setting sun. The alignment of these stones hints at a cultural or spiritual significance, possibly related to the movement of celestial bodies or the rhythms of the natural world. But despite their imposing presence, the exact meaning behind these standing stones remains unclear. The presence of these megalithic structures raises a number of questions. Why did the people of Mahendragiri invest so much time and effort into constructing such monumental structures in a remote and rugged region? What role did these stones play in their daily lives, and what beliefs or rituals did they symbolize? The size and intricacy of the dolmens suggest that they were not simply functional, but rather held spiritual or ceremonial significance. It is possible that the people who built them saw the stones as a way to communicate with the spiritual world or to mark important locations, places where the divine or supernatural forces could be invoked or honored. Theories about the Mahendragiri megalithic site abound, though much of what is speculated remains unproven. The most commonly accepted explanation is that the site was used for burial purposes, an ancient necropolis where the dead were laid to rest in stone tombs, their spirits believed to remain in the land. This idea is supported by the prevalence of dolmens across the site, many of which appear to have been used for burial. Some scholars suggest that the megalithic structures may also have served as territorial markers, marking the boundaries between different clans or communities. But as with many megalithic sites, there are other, more speculative theories that add to the allure of Mahendragiri. Some researchers suggest that the site may have had astronomical significance, with the menhirs and dolmens aligned to track celestial events like the solstices or equinoxes. Could the structures have been used as an ancient observatory, allowing the people of Mahendragiri to track the movements of the stars and planets? The alignment of the stones with specific geographic features and celestial bodies suggests that the people who built the site may have had a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos, using the land as a canvas to chart the heavens above. Another theory posits that the site could have been a place of pilgrimage or ritual, where people gathered to honor their ancestors, engage in spiritual practices, or mark the passage of time. The layout of the site, with its interconnected stones and elaborate burial chambers, suggests that it was a focal point for the community, a place where people came together to engage in collective rituals or ceremonies. Perhaps it was a site of rebirth, where the dead were honored, but their spirits also served as guardians for the living, watching over them from the realm of the ancestors. What is most puzzling about Mahendragiri is that, despite its significance, the site remains largely forgotten. Unlike the great megalithic structures of Europe or the well-known archaeological wonders of the Mediterranean, Mahendragiri has remained relatively obscure, hidden away in the rugged hills of eastern India. Archaeological exploration of the site has been minimal, and there is little historical documentation regarding its origins or use. The people who built these megalithic structures left no written records, no inscriptions or carvings to tell us who they were or what they believed. As a result, the history of Mahendragiri remains shrouded in mystery, leaving modern scholars to piece together its significance from the stones that remain. This absence of written records adds to the air of mystery surrounding the site. Who were the people who built these megalithic structures? Were they part of a larger, now forgotten civilization, or were they isolated groups with their own distinct culture and beliefs? Some have proposed that the builders of Mahendragiri were early settlers who migrated to the region from other parts of South Asia, bringing with them the knowledge of megalithic construction. Others suggest that the site may have been part of an even older cultural tradition, predating the rise of agriculture and cities in the Indian subcontinent. As we stand amidst the towering stones of Mahendragiri today, the silence of the hills seems to hold the echoes of a forgotten past. The massive dolmens and upright stones rise from the earth like silent sentinels, their purpose and meaning lost to the ages. What knowledge did the people of Mahendragiri possess? What rituals did they perform in these sacred spaces, and what connection did they have with the forces of nature and the cosmos? The mystery of Mahendragiri remains unsolved, its significance buried beneath centuries of time and erosion. The megalithic structures of Mahendragiri stand as a testament to a people whose names have faded into obscurity, yet whose architectural and spiritual achievements continue to speak across the centuries. What more might be uncovered in this remote region, hidden away from the eyes of modern civilization? Could future excavations shed more light on the culture that built these stones? Or will the mystery of Mahendragiri remain as enigmatic as the ancient megaliths themselves, standing silent and unyielding against the passage of time? As we leave the rugged hills of Mahendragiri behind, our journey takes us over the vast expanse of ocean to a mysterious and often overlooked site that lies beneath the surface of the sea. Located just off the coast of St. Martin's Island, a small yet striking speck of land in the Bay of Bengal, are the submerged stone circles of St. Martin. This hidden underwater mystery, largely unknown to the wider world, has captured the imagination of explorers, archaeologists, and historians alike. Yet, despite decades of study and speculation, the stone circles remain an enigma, their true purpose and origin shrouded in uncertainty. The St. Martin's submerged stone circles are not visible to the casual observer, hidden as they are beneath the waves, yet they have been brought to light through the efforts of marine archaeologists and divers. These stone formations, arranged in circular patterns, lie at varying depths beneath the waters surrounding the island. Some are clearly discernible as geometric circles of stones, while others appear as fragmented remains, eroded by the relentless tides and currents over centuries or millennia. The stones themselves are large, rough-hewn blocks of coral stone, their surfaces worn smooth by the salt water that has embraced them for generations. To the naked eye, these submerged stones may appear to be nothing more than a random scattering of rocks, but their arrangement suggests something far more deliberate. The size, alignment, and distribution of the stones imply a level of planning and engineering that goes beyond simple natural formation. The submerged circles seem to follow specific patterns, their arrangement aligning with features of the surrounding underwater landscape, including deeper channels and coral reefs. Some researchers believe that these stone structures were once part of an ancient civilization that, for reasons unknown, was swallowed by the sea. One of the most intriguing aspects of the St. Martin's submerged stone circles is their possible connection to ancient ritual or ceremonial practices. Some archaeologists propose that the circles were used for religious or spiritual purposes, perhaps serving as sites for communal gatherings or rituals. In many ancient cultures, stone circles and similar structures were built with specific alignments to celestial bodies, such as the sun, moon, and stars. Could these submerged circles have been used in a similar manner, aligned with the rhythms of the cosmos, marking key points in the annual cycle, or serving as a focal point for divine worship? The positioning of the stones and their alignment with the surrounding topography hints at the possibility that the people who created them had a deep understanding of the natural world and its forces, including the movements of celestial bodies and the tides. Yet, despite the sophisticated nature of these stone circles, the question remains: who built them and why? The submerged nature of the site complicates any attempt to answer this question definitively. Unlike other megalithic sites, such as Stonehenge or the Egyptian pyramids, which have yielded substantial archaeological evidence, the submerged stone circles of St. Martin's have been largely inaccessible to researchers. With the site lying beneath the sea, much of the surrounding landscape is difficult to study, and only fragments of the structures have been uncovered so far. The challenges of underwater excavation and the rapid erosion of the site by ocean currents make it difficult to piece together a clear picture of the people who once constructed these stones. There is also the issue of dating the site. Given the absence of direct evidence, it is difficult to say with certainty when these stone circles were built. Some researchers speculate that they could date back to prehistoric times, possibly as far back as 1000 BC, while others suggest a more recent origin, perhaps from the early centuries of the Common Era. Some theories even propose that these stone circles could be far older, perhaps predating known civilizations in the region by several millennia. Could they have been constructed by a civilization whose name and culture have been lost to history, their achievements submerged beneath the waters over time? The lack of evidence for the culture that created the site has left much to speculation, with no definitive answers to explain the origin of the submerged stone circles. In addition to the mystery of the site's origin, another intriguing question arises. Could the stone circles have been part of an ancient port or settlement, now buried beneath the sea due to rising water levels or a cataclysmic event? Evidence of ancient coastal settlements and submerged cities has been found around the world, from the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean. In many cases, these sunken sites are believed to have been destroyed or submerged as a result of natural disasters, such as earthquakes, tsunamis, or rising sea levels. Could the St. Martin's stone circles have been part of such a civilization, a place where people once gathered, and whose remains were swallowed by the sea thousands of years ago? This theory, though speculative, offers a tantalizing glimpse into the possibility that these stones were not merely symbolic, but were part of a thriving, now lost culture that once existed in the region. Some researchers have even proposed a more fantastical theory, suggesting that the submerged stone circles could be remnants of the legendary civilization of Atlantis. While this idea falls squarely within the realm of fringe speculation, it is not without its appeal. The connection between ancient myths of lost civilizations and real archaeological sites is a subject that has long fascinated historians. The idea of a technologically advanced, long-lost civilization destroyed by cataclysmic forces is a theme found in many ancient cultures, from Greek to Hindu to Egyptian traditions. Could the submerged stone circles of St. Martin's Island be one of the last vestiges of a civilization that was erased by a great disaster? Despite the range of theories that have been proposed, none can definitively explain the true purpose of the St. Martin's submerged stone circles. What we do know is that these stones were intentionally placed in a specific formation, not the result of natural erosion or random deposition. The alignment of the circles with the natural features of the landscape, coupled with the skill required to transport and position the massive stones, suggests that the people who built them had a deep understanding of their environment, perhaps even a reverence for it. As we explore these submerged remnants of a forgotten world, we are left with more questions than answers. Was this an ancient religious site, a cosmic observatory, or a port city now lost beneath the waves? Did these stone circles serve as markers of territory, or were they designed to connect the living with the dead, with the forces of nature, or with the heavens? The mystery of the St. Martin's submerged stone circles is far from solved, and as more of the site is uncovered, we may one day discover the answers to the questions that continue to haunt us. But for now, as we peer into the depths of the Bay of Bengal, the stones of St. Martin's Island remain submerged in silence, standing as silent sentinels beneath the waves, holding their secrets and waiting for the moment when the full story will finally come to light. Leaving the submerged mystery of St. Martin's behind, we now journey to a less explored corner of the world, nestled in the heart of Africa, an isolated region where the earth itself seems to have hidden away ancient secrets for millennia. Deep within the dense forests of Cameroon, near the foot of the majestic Mount Kaapa, lies a site that has baffled explorers and archaeologists alike: the Kaapa stone compounds. These enigmatic stone structures are not just ordinary ruins. Spread across the valley floor and rising up in concentric layers, the Kaapa stone compounds are an intricate series of stone-built enclosures, walls, and platforms. The stones themselves are of immense size, often weighing several tons, and have been precisely cut and positioned, their sharp edges and careful alignment suggesting the deliberate craftsmanship of an advanced people. What is remarkable about these compounds is not just their scale, but their unique design. Unlike the typical megalithic structures we associate with ancient civilizations, such as Stonehenge or the pyramids of Egypt, the Kaapa stone compounds appear to have been constructed with no clear central purpose. The compounds are not neatly aligned in a way that suggests a specific astronomical or spiritual function, nor do they seem to form the kind of territorial markers seen in other ancient sites. Instead, they appear as a labyrinth of walls and platforms, each one different, each one inexplicably complex. The first thing one notices when standing in front of the Kaapa stone compounds is the sheer scale of the project. The walls of the stone enclosures are massive, some stretching over 100 feet in length, yet they do not follow any pattern one might expect from conventional architecture. There are no grand entrances, no identifiable symmetry between the structures. Instead, the stones are scattered across the landscape in what seems to be an organic arrangement, with some sections rising in elevated platforms, while others dip into depressions or narrow ravines. Some walls seem to stretch on endlessly, with no clear point of termination, while others abruptly change direction or disappear into the thick jungle undergrowth. Adding to the mystery is the fact that no known civilization from the region has been definitively linked to the construction of the Kaapa stone compounds. The archaeological record yields little information about the people who might have built these massive structures. In fact, local oral traditions provide few clues, and the only hints come from scattered reports by early explorers who stumbled upon the site. Some have speculated that the structures could be the remnants of a forgotten kingdom, lost to history, while others have suggested that they might have served as a ceremonial center for a long-lost people whose culture and language were erased by time. One of the more popular, though still debated, theories is that the Kaapa stone compounds were created by a culture of stone builders, a people who had mastered both the art of megalithic construction and a deep understanding of the natural world. The precise shaping and arrangement of the stones suggest that these builders had access to advanced tools, capable of shaping and transporting stones of great size. But there is no evidence to suggest that the Kaapa people possessed the kind of metallurgy or technology typically associated with such advanced stonework. Did they use simple, rudimentary tools, or was there a lost technology, a technique long forgotten, that allowed them to shape and transport these massive stones? Many researchers believe that the compounds could have served as places of communal living, a sort of fortress or sanctuary. Given their isolated location in the jungle, far from the nearest known ancient settlement, some have proposed that the Kaapa stone compounds might have been used for defense, perhaps to protect a specific tribe or group of people from external threats. The layout of the compounds, with their narrow passageways and enclosed spaces, would seem to support this theory. However, there is no evidence of weapons or other defensive features at the site, which casts doubt on the idea that the compounds were built purely for military purposes. Another theory suggests that the Kaapa stone compounds may have had a spiritual or ritualistic function. Some believe that the arrangement of the stones was designed to represent a cosmic or divine order, perhaps serving as a way for the builders to connect with the forces of nature. The stones could have been positioned to align with specific celestial events, such as the solstices or equinoxes, marking significant points in the agricultural or spiritual calendar. If this was the case, it would suggest that the Kaapa people held a deep understanding of the movements of the stars, sun, and moon, much like other ancient cultures who built structures to track celestial phenomena. In addition to these more conventional theories, some fringe ideas have been proposed, suggesting that the Kaapa stone compounds might be linked to even more mysterious and speculative explanations. Could these structures be the remnants of an ancient, lost civilization, one whose knowledge and influence spanned much further than previously imagined? There are those who speculate that the builders of the Kaapa stone compounds may have been part of an ancient global network connected to other megalithic sites around the world, such as those in Egypt or Mesoamerica. Did these people share a common culture or belief system that linked the distant corners of the earth? And if so, what did they know that we do not? Some have even proposed more fantastical theories, suggesting that the Kaapa stone compounds could be the remnants of an extraterrestrial influence. The precise alignment and construction of the structures, coupled with their apparent isolation from known human cultures, have led some to wonder whether the site might have been created with help from visitors from beyond our world. While this theory remains on the fringe of speculation, it speaks to the deep mystery of the Kaapa stone compounds and the questions they continue to raise about human history, technology, and the possible connections between ancient peoples and the unknown. Despite the intriguing theories and the careful analysis of the site, the true purpose and origin of the Kaapa stone compounds remain elusive. Archaeologists continue to explore the site, though the dense forest and difficult terrain make excavation a challenging task. The lack of written records, the absence of clear cultural markers, and the sheer scale of the project all add to the difficulty in understanding who built these stone structures and why they were built in the first place. As we look out over the jungle, where the last remnants of the Kaapa stone compounds rise from the earth like silent sentinels, the questions multiply. Were these walls part of a vast, long-lost civilization? Did the builders of these structures have knowledge that we can only now begin to comprehend? And, more importantly, what might still lie hidden beneath the thick vines and undergrowth waiting to be uncovered. The mystery of the Kaapa stone compounds remains unsolved, but in their silence, they continue to call out for answers, urging us to explore deeper, to ask more questions, and to challenge our understanding of the past. Leaving behind the dense forests of Cameroon, we now travel to a stark, desolate landscape in the heart of the Jordanian desert, where the past seems to have been left behind, half buried in the sands of time. Wadi Faynan, a valley carved by the forces of nature, is a site that holds within its arid expanse some of the most intriguing and mysterious traces of Neolithic architecture. Hidden away in the folds of this ancient land, the ruins of Wadi Faynan's prehistoric settlements stand as silent witnesses to a culture whose secrets have yet to be fully understood. The valley is stark and windswept, with the towering hills of the surrounding desert offering no shelter from the harsh sun. Yet, in this unforgiving environment, the remains of ancient structures rise from the earth, their weathered stones quietly enduring the passage of time. What remains of Wadi Faynan's Neolithic architecture is striking in its simplicity and grandeur. The site features a series of well-preserved stone buildings, including circular dwellings, communal structures, and even what appear to be ritual spaces. These structures, built between 6000 and 5000 BC, are an early example of permanent settlements in the region, offering a glimpse into the lives of a people who were moving beyond the transient nature of hunter-gatherer existence toward a more complex and settled way of life. The most remarkable feature of the Wadi Faynan Neolithic architecture is its construction. The buildings here are not the crude, unrefined shelters often associated with the earliest human settlements. Instead, the stone walls are carefully stacked, and the layout of the structures suggests an advanced understanding of space and function. The circular dwellings, constructed from large, flat stones, are designed to create a sense of enclosure and security, as well as to provide protection from the harsh desert winds. In some cases, the walls are even fortified with additional layers of stone, suggesting that the inhabitants were concerned with defense, perhaps against rival groups or dangerous animals. What makes these structures even more intriguing is their alignment with the natural landscape. The placement of the dwellings and communal spaces appears deliberate, suggesting that the builders had a profound understanding of their environment. The buildings often follow the contours of the land, making use of natural rock formations for support and creating spaces that blend seamlessly with the surrounding terrain. Some structures even seem to be positioned to take advantage of the desert's subtle changes in light and shadow, hinting at an understanding of the solar cycle, something that would have been vital for a people who depended on agriculture to sustain them. But what is most mysterious about Wadi Faynan is the absence of clear evidence as to who these people were and what their civilization looked like. The Neolithic inhabitants of Wadi Faynan left behind no written records, no inscriptions or carvings to explain the purpose of their architecture or the details of their daily lives. All that remains are the stone walls, the remnants of circular homes, and a scattering of pottery and tools that hint at a once thriving community. Could these people have been part of a larger cultural network, trading with distant lands and sharing knowledge with other groups? Or were they an isolated society, quietly developing their own methods of survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth? Archaeologists have suggested that the people of Wadi Faynan were among the early pioneers of agriculture in the region, cultivating crops like barley and wheat in the arid desert. Evidence of early irrigation systems has been found in the area, and the presence of domesticated animals suggests that these early settlers had developed a stable food supply. Some even believe that the settlement at Wadi Faynan was a key point in the development of the Neolithic Revolution, the transition from hunting and gathering to a more settled agricultural way of life. The architecture of Wadi Faynan, with its carefully planned spaces and communal structures, might be a reflection of this new way of living, one that demanded more permanent dwellings and complex social organization. However, despite the evidence of early agriculture and settlement, much of Wadi Faynan's purpose remains uncertain. While some structures appear to be residential, others seem to be communal or ritualistic. One of the most intriguing discoveries is a large rectangular building that appears to have been used for collective gatherings or ceremonies. This structure, which stands apart from the residential dwellings, suggests that the people of Wadi Faynan may have had a sophisticated social structure, one that included spaces for group activities, religious rites, or even leadership gatherings. But why build such a space in this remote valley? What purpose did these communal spaces serve, and how did they fit into the broader social and cultural landscape of Neolithic life? As with many prehistoric sites, there are speculative theories that add an air of intrigue to Wadi Faynan's story. Some researchers suggest that the site could have been a center of early spiritual practice, a place where the inhabitants engaged in rituals to ensure the success of their crops or to honor the forces of nature. Given the prominence of the communal structure, it is possible that Wadi Faynan served as a focal point for religious or ceremonial gatherings, with the people coming together to mark significant events in the agricultural calendar, such as planting and harvest seasons. Could the architecture of the site have been designed to align with specific celestial events, such as the solstices, as seen in other Neolithic structures around the world? Another theory posits that the Wadi Faynan site could have been a sort of early trade hub, a place where goods, ideas, and technologies were exchanged between different cultures. Given its strategic location at the crossroads of ancient trade routes, Wadi Faynan may have been a melting pot of influences from surrounding regions. Some scholars have suggested that the settlement could have been linked to the early copper mining activities in the area, hinting at a connection to the rise of metallurgy in the ancient Near East. If these theories are correct, the architecture of Wadi Faynan could have served not just as a place for dwelling and ritual, but as a meeting place for merchants, miners, and other travelers from far-flung corners of the ancient world. But these are only theories. The true purpose of Wadi Faynan's Neolithic architecture remains an enigma. Was it simply a settlement built by early farmers seeking to live in harmony with the land? Or was it a complex center for trade, ritual, or governance? The absence of definitive evidence leaves room for speculation, and as is often the case with ancient sites, the questions only multiply with time. As we stand in the quiet, wind-swept valley of Wadi Faynan, the ruins before us speak of a distant past, one that may never fully reveal its secrets. What drove the people who built these stone structures to settle in such a harsh, unforgiving environment? What knowledge did they possess, and how did they see their place in the world? With each discovery, we come a step closer to understanding the lost civilization that once thrived in this arid corner of the earth. But the deeper mysteries of Wadi Faynan remain unsolved. As the winds shift the sands of time, we can only wonder what still lies hidden beneath the stone walls, and what truths about our ancient past may one day rise to the surface. As we leave behind the ancient stone settlements of Wadi Faynan, we venture into the misty hills of northern England, where another mysterious prehistoric site beckons our attention. Castlerigg, a circle of stones that has stood for over 4,000 years, is one of the most iconic megalithic sites in the British Isles. While the stone circle itself has captured the imaginations of countless visitors, just beyond its well-known perimeter lies an even greater enigma: the peripheral cairn structures. These lesser-known, yet equally intriguing features of the site provide us with a deeper glimpse into the complex and mysterious world of the Neolithic people who built them. Castlerigg is located in the heart of the Lake District, surrounded by the dramatic peaks of the Cumbrian Mountains. The landscape itself feels steeped in history, as if the land itself holds secrets beneath its mist-covered hills. The stone circle at Castlerigg, consisting of 38 stones arranged in a near-perfect circle, is often seen as a focal point of the site. Yet, scattered around the main circle are smaller, less obvious stone constructions, the peripheral cairn structures. These cairns, circular piles of stones, are found at varying distances from the central monument, creating a network that seems to stretch out into the surrounding landscape. The cairn structures at Castlerigg, although not as grand as the main stone circle, are integral to the site's overall design. These stone mounds are not random. Their placement appears intentional, and their form suggests that they were built with purpose. Some of the cairns are small and simple, little more than a scattering of rocks, while others are larger and more elaborate, resembling the type of burial cairns seen in other Neolithic sites across Europe. The most fascinating aspect of these structures is their connection to the main stone circle. Many of the cairns align with the central circle in ways that suggest they may have had a ceremonial or ritualistic purpose. What remains elusive, however, is the precise nature of these cairn structures. Could they have been used as burial sites, like other cairns found across Britain? The idea that these mounds might be associated with the dead is one of the more widely accepted theories, but there are other possibilities to consider. Some researchers propose that the cairns could have been markers of territorial boundaries, while others suggest they may have had a more symbolic function, acting as representations of ancestral connections or serving as points of alignment with the celestial bodies, much like the stones in the central circle. The question of their function has sparked much debate. Some archaeologists have argued that the cairns were places of burial for prominent individuals, with the stone mounds acting as memorials or markers of graves. This theory is supported by the presence of skeletal remains and cremation burials found in other cairn sites across Britain and Europe. Yet, no human remains have been discovered in the Castlerigg cairns themselves, leaving their exact purpose open to interpretation. The lack of evidence for burial could suggest that these cairns had a more symbolic or ritualistic purpose, perhaps used in ceremonies or as markers for important events in the seasonal calendar. One of the most compelling theories is that the peripheral cairns at Castlerigg were part of a larger, ritualistic landscape, a sacred space designed to align with the heavens. The idea that the Neolithic people of this region were keenly attuned to the movements of the sun and stars is supported by the precise alignment of the main stone circle with key points in the solar and lunar calendar. The peripheral cairns could have served to mark specific celestial events or seasons, acting as beacons that guided the community through important rituals tied to the cycles of nature. If this was the case, the cairns might have held great spiritual significance, connecting the living with the world beyond. In addition to their potential celestial alignment, some have proposed that the cairns may have served as markers of passage. Positioned on elevated ground, the peripheral cairns could have acted as waypoints, guiding travelers or pilgrims to the sacred center of Castlerigg. The idea of pilgrimage to such a site is not unprecedented in ancient cultures. Many ancient civilizations, from Egypt to Mesoamerica, constructed sacred landscapes filled with markers and routes designed for ceremonial journeys. The presence of cairns in such strategic locations around Castlerigg could indicate that the Neolithic people of this region also viewed their landscape as a sacred route, where movement between different sacred locations held spiritual importance. Despite the various theories, the true function of the peripheral cairn structures remains unknown. Could they be simply markers of the physical world, delineating boundaries or demarcating territory? Or were they metaphysical markers, pointing to a deeper understanding of the universe, a reflection of the Neolithic people's connection to the celestial forces that governed their lives? Could they even represent something more esoteric? Perhaps symbols of cosmic order, with each cairn standing for a different aspect of life or the natural world? The speculation is endless, yet each theory brings us no closer to a definitive answer. One of the more speculative ideas involves the possibility that these cairns were connected to an ancient form of energy or geomancy. Some researchers have suggested that the arrangement of the stones could have been designed to channel natural energy or align with hidden forces of the earth. While such ideas are often dismissed by mainstream archaeology, they continue to intrigue those who believe that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge we have long since forgotten. Could the cairns at Castlerigg have been designed with such advanced knowledge, pointing to an understanding of Earth's energy fields that modern science is only beginning to explore? Again, there is no evidence to support this theory, but it adds an air of mystery to the site that is hard to ignore. Whatever their true purpose, the peripheral cairn structures at Castlerigg remain one of the great unsolved puzzles of prehistoric Britain. They are reminders of a time when people saw their world through a different lens, one that embraced the natural world and the forces beyond it with reverence and awe. The cairns, like the stones in the central circle, continue to stand silently, weathered by the winds of time, but holding steadfast in their place, as if waiting for us to unravel their secrets. As we walk among the stones of Castlerigg and look out over the surrounding hills, it is impossible not to wonder what deeper mysteries the landscape still holds. What were these people truly trying to communicate with their stone constructions? Were the cairns built as an offering to the gods, or did they serve a more mundane, earthly purpose? And what other hidden sites, perhaps still buried under centuries of soil and stone, could reveal the true extent of the Neolithic people's understanding of the world around them? Castlerig's peripheral cairns may not offer up all their answers, but they remind us that there is still much we do not know about the ancient civilizations that shaped our world. The mystery remains, and it is one that continues to beckon to those who are willing to look deeper into the past. Leaving the serene stone circles of Castlerigg behind, we now journey to a more elusive corner of the British Isles, one where the deep, ancient past seems to pulse beneath the earth, waiting to reveal its secrets. Nestled in the quiet, rolling hills near the village of Clyde in Scotland lies the Cochno stone-carved platform. This remote and often overlooked site has remained hidden in plain sight for centuries, its purpose and origins still largely a mystery. Yet, what little we know about it only deepens the intrigue, offering a tantalizing glimpse into the world of prehistoric people whose beliefs and knowledge were far more sophisticated than we often give them credit for. The Cochno stone, often referred to as the Cochno stone carved platform, is a massive slab of rock measuring some 12 meters by 8 meters, located on a small hill overlooking the surrounding valley. The stone itself is striking, its surface covered with a series of intricate circular motifs, patterns so precise that they have drawn comparisons to the petroglyphs and carvings found in other ancient megalithic sites around the world. These carvings, which appear to have been painstakingly etched into the surface of the rock, feature a series of concentric circles, spirals, and other geometric shapes, all seemingly arranged in a deliberate pattern. At first glance, the design might appear random or even chaotic, but as researchers have pointed out, there is an underlying order to the carvings that suggests a deeper meaning. The Cochno stone is thought to date back to the Neolithic or early Bronze Age, roughly between 3,000 and 4,000 years ago. While there are many examples of similar rock art throughout Europe, the Cochno stone stands out for its sheer scale and complexity. It is not merely a collection of abstract markings, but a carefully constructed design that could have held significant cultural or spiritual meaning for the people who created it. The stone's location, perched atop a hill and facing the surrounding landscape, suggests that it may have been an important site for ritual or ceremony, perhaps even serving as a focal point for communal gatherings or a place of worship. Yet despite the significance that the Cochno stone must have held in the distant past, its true purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Was it a map, a calendar, or an astronomical guide? Some researchers have suggested that the concentric circles and spirals might have been used to track celestial events, such as the phases of the moon or the positions of the stars. The stone's location, overlooking the valley and oriented towards the horizon, would have made it an ideal place for observing the night sky. Could the carvings represent a form of ancient astronomy, a sophisticated understanding of the heavens that was shared by ancient cultures long before the rise of written records? Others believe that the Cochno stone may have had a more symbolic or ritualistic function. The circles, spirals, and interlocking patterns could represent elements of the natural world, perhaps the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, or the eternal flow of time. These motifs are found in similar forms across prehistoric Europe, suggesting a shared cultural understanding of the world and its mysteries. Could the Cochno stone have served as a physical representation of these cosmic ideas, a sort of map of the spiritual world? Or might it have been a site of initiation or spiritual transformation, with the carvings acting as a guide for those who sought enlightenment or connection with the divine? One of the most fascinating and perplexing aspects of the Cochno stone is the fact that, for much of its history, it was buried beneath the earth. In the early 20th century, when it was rediscovered, the Cochno stone had been almost entirely hidden beneath a thick layer of soil and vegetation. This raises a number of questions. Why was it deliberately buried, and who chose to conceal it? Some archaeologists speculate that the stone may have been hidden to protect it from invaders or rival groups who might have sought to desecrate or destroy it. Others suggest that the burial could have been part of a ritualistic act, perhaps a way of sealing the site and its knowledge away from the world as part of a sacred tradition. The fact that the Cochno stone was buried also leads to a more speculative question. Could there have been other stones or carvings hidden in the area, waiting to be uncovered? Archaeologists have noted that the surrounding landscape is rich with prehistoric sites, including burial mounds, cairns, and standing stones. Could the Cochno stone be part of a larger, undiscovered complex of monuments and symbols, all interlinked by a common belief system or cultural tradition? Some have even suggested that the Cochno stone could be part of a much larger astronomical or religious site, with the stone serving as one piece of a much more complex network of sacred spaces. Despite its prominence in the landscape, the Cochno stone is not the only example of prehistoric rock art in the area. Similar carvings and motifs can be found on other stones and rock faces throughout the region, hinting at a larger interwoven network of symbolic meaning. Yet, just as with the Cochno stone, the true significance of these carvings remains largely unknown. Were they a form of communication, a way of recording important events or rituals? Or were they simply expressions of the human desire to understand and connect with the natural world in ways that transcended the everyday? Beyond the geological and archaeological questions, the Cochno stone also raises questions about our understanding of ancient people's beliefs. Were they simply primitive, driven by the need to survive, or did they possess a deeper understanding of the universe, one that we can only begin to grasp today? The precise and deliberate nature of the carvings suggests that the creators of the Cochno stone had an advanced grasp of mathematics and geometry, suggesting that their knowledge of the world may have been far more sophisticated than we typically assume. Could this ancient stone be the key to unlocking a lost knowledge, a lost science that we have long since forgotten? Despite the many questions that swirl around the Cochno stone, one thing is clear. It remains one of the most mysterious and fascinating prehistoric sites in the British Isles. While its precise purpose and meaning remain shrouded in uncertainty, the stone itself stands as a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual depth of the people who created it. As we continue to uncover the secrets of ancient sites like the Cochno stone, we are reminded that the past is not as distant or unknowable as we might think. Each new discovery, each new insight, brings us a step closer to understanding the mysterious world of our ancient ancestors, and to uncovering the knowledge that they left behind. But as with all ancient mysteries, the questions remain, and the search for answers continues, hidden beneath layers of soil, stone, and time. As we move from the cold hills of Scotland to the sun-drenched plains of West Africa, we encounter another enigma, one that has long confounded archaeologists and historians alike. The Senegambian stone circles, scattered across the arid expanses of Senegal and the Gambia, remain some of the most fascinating yet least understood megalithic sites in the world. These ancient stone structures, whose purpose and origins are shrouded in mystery, stand as silent witnesses to a civilization whose story is still only partially written. The Senegambian stone circles consist of over 1,000 individual sites, comprising thousands of stones arranged in intricate patterns, some forming circles, others aligning in long rows. The stones themselves are large and imposing, often weighing several tons each, and their sheer size suggests a level of organization and labor that would have required a coordinated effort from a large community. Some of the stones stand upright, while others have fallen or been toppled over the centuries, their once pristine alignments now fractured by the passage of time. The largest of these circles, located in the Badumbe region of the Gambia, stretches over 1,000 meters in length, its rings of stones seemingly endless when viewed from above. The landscape around the stones is typically flat and unremarkable, making the sheer scale of the stone circles all the more striking. They rise from the earth like ancient monuments to something far greater, yet their purpose remains elusive. The most widely accepted explanation is that these circles were built by the ancestors of the people who still inhabit this region today, with the constructions dating back to between 1000 BC and 300 AD. Archaeologists believe the circles were likely used for ritualistic or ceremonial purposes. Some suggest that they may have been burial sites, with certain circles specifically designed to mark the graves of important individuals or leaders. Others believe that the stone circles served as sites for astronomical observation, their alignments carefully planned to track the movement of the stars and celestial bodies across the night sky. Indeed, some of the patterns found at the Senegambian stone circles seem to reflect an awareness of the heavens. In several cases, the stones are aligned with solar and lunar events, such as the solstices and equinoxes. Could these circles have been early astronomical observatories, allowing the ancient inhabitants of the region to map the movements of the sun, moon, and stars? It is not beyond the realm of possibility, as many ancient cultures, such as the Mayans in Central America or the Egyptians in North Africa, developed sophisticated methods of tracking celestial events long before the advent of written language. Yet, despite these plausible explanations, there are many unanswered questions surrounding the stone circles. For instance, why were such immense efforts made to transport and arrange these massive stones? The materials used to construct the circles are not locally sourced, meaning that the builders must have transported the stones over long distances. This would have been no small feat, especially considering the technology available to these people at the time. What motivated them to invest such vast resources in the creation of these structures? And how did they manage to accomplish such an impressive feat of engineering without the wheel or other advanced tools? Even more perplexing is the lack of definitive evidence regarding the social or political systems that may have supported the construction of the Senegambian stone circles. Unlike the more well-documented megalithic cultures of Europe, such as the builders of Stonehenge, little is known about the specific culture or people who constructed these stones. There are no written records or inscriptions to provide a clear understanding of the civilization behind the stone circles. This absence of concrete evidence has led to a wide range of theories, from the plausible to the speculative, each trying to unlock the mysteries of these enigmatic sites. One theory posits that the Senegambian stone circles were part of a larger network of ceremonial and trade routes that spanned across ancient West Africa. The region, after all, was a crossroads for many ancient cultures, with evidence of trade routes linking it to distant civilizations in the Mediterranean, the Sahara, and beyond. Could these stone circles have served as markers along these trade routes, their geometric patterns symbolizing important cultural or economic connections? Perhaps these circles were used as gathering points for the exchange of goods, ideas, and traditions, or even for religious and political meetings. Another, more fringe theory suggests that the Senegambian stone circles may have had a connection to the ancient knowledge of geomancy, the belief that certain places on Earth possess mystical energy or power. This idea is largely speculative, but the precise placement and alignment of the stones with natural features like rivers and mountains could imply that the builders were attuned to the spiritual significance of the land itself. Could these stone circles have been part of an ancient system of sacred geography, a network of energetic sites that were believed to channel forces from the earth itself? Such ideas are difficult to prove, yet they remain a tantalizing possibility when we consider the incredible care and intention that went into the construction of these monuments. There are also some who suggest that the Senegambian stone circles were part of a larger, forgotten civilization, one that may have possessed advanced knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and even mathematics. The precision with which the stones were arranged and their alignment with celestial bodies suggests that the people who built the circles had a sophisticated understanding of the world around them. Could they have been part of a culture that, like the ancient Egyptians or Sumerians, had developed advanced scientific knowledge long before it was recorded in writing? The lack of a written record leaves us to wonder whether such knowledge was deliberately hidden, or whether it was simply lost to time. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Senegambian stone circles, however, is the idea that they might represent a cultural memory, an expression of ancient beliefs and practices that were passed down through generations, but whose meanings have since faded away. Could the stone circles have been a way for early African societies to preserve their history, to honor their ancestors, or to mark important milestones in the lives of their people? The fact that these circles have endured for millennia suggests that they were of great importance to the people who built them, and that they held meaning beyond the material world. As we stand among the weathered stones of the Senegambian stone circles, the weight of history seems to press down upon us. What messages did these stones carry across the centuries? What knowledge, wisdom, or stories did the ancient builders wish to preserve, and why did they choose to do so in such an extraordinary way? The mystery of the Senegambian stone circles remains unsolved, their purpose and significance still hidden beneath the sands of time. But as we continue to study these ancient structures, one thing becomes clear. The questions they raise about the people who built them and the world they inhabited will continue to captivate and challenge us for years to come. What other secrets might still be waiting to be uncovered, hidden in the shadows of these timeless monuments? As we leave behind the mysteries of the Senegambian stone circles, we travel further west, towards the rugged and wild landscapes of Galicia in the far northwest of Spain. Here, amid the steep hills and deep gorges, lies an ancient and enigmatic feature of the landscape: the Rapa das Bestas Enclosures. These peculiar stone structures, scattered throughout the mountains of the region, are both awe-inspiring and shrouded in mystery, offering us a glimpse into a practice that has endured for centuries and remains largely misunderstood. The enclosures themselves are a curious sight. Constructed from rough stone walls that rise high above the surrounding countryside, these circular or elliptical structures seem out of place amidst the natural beauty of the rugged landscape. Each enclosure is typically located in a remote part of the mountains, often near a water source, and many are situated on the edge of cliffs or atop high ridges. Their size and shape suggest they were built to contain something significant, though their purpose has remained unclear for much of history. At the heart of the mystery lies the tradition of the Rapa das Bestas, a centuries-old festival that takes place each year in the hills of Galicia. The festival, which involves the wild capture, taming, and shearing of local horses, is a spectacle unlike any other. It is a ritual that blends the practical with the symbolic, a tradition that has been passed down through generations of rural communities. The enclosures are thought to have been built specifically for this purpose, places where wild horses were driven and corralled during the festival. However, the origins of the practice and the enclosures themselves remain a source of intrigue. The Rapa das Bestas festival, which takes place every summer, is a dramatic and physically demanding event. Men and women, armed with nothing more than ropes and their own strength, attempt to capture the wild horses that roam freely in the mountains. The horses, known as garanos, are an ancient breed that has lived in the wild for centuries, and their taming is a rite of passage for the people of Galicia. Once the horses are captured, they are driven into the enclosures, where they are restrained. Their manes are shaved, and they are marked with symbols. The entire process is done to ensure the health and vitality of the horses, but it is also deeply rooted in the spiritual and cultural traditions of the region. While the festival itself is well known, the true purpose of the enclosures remains largely speculative. It is believed that the enclosures were used to contain the wild horses during the festival, but their origins go much deeper. Some scholars suggest that the enclosures could be remnants of a much older tradition, possibly dating back to the Iron Age or even earlier. The stone structures, some of which are quite large, might have once been used for different purposes, such as rituals or religious ceremonies. Could they have been used for sacred purposes, perhaps in connection with the worship of local deities or ancestral spirits? The shape and alignment of the enclosures, as well as their location in areas of natural significance, suggest that they may have held a deeper, more symbolic meaning. The theory that the enclosures are linked to ancient rituals is supported by the striking resemblance of the structures to other prehistoric sites found throughout Europe. For example, the circular nature of the enclosures is reminiscent of the ancient stone circles found in the British Isles, such as Stonehenge. Could the Rapa das Bestas enclosures be part of a larger network of sacred sites that once spanned across the region? Were these enclosures designed to align with celestial events, such as the rising or setting of the sun, much like the stone circles of Britain? While there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, the possibility that the enclosures served a spiritual function is an intriguing one, especially when considering the deep connection the people of Galicia have with their land and the natural world. Another theory suggests that the enclosures could have been used for other, more practical purposes, such as animal husbandry or as stock pens. Given the remote location of many of the enclosures, it is likely that they were constructed by ancient communities to keep wild animals, whether horses, cattle, or other livestock, contained and protected. Some researchers propose that the enclosures might have been used for a form of seasonal grazing, where animals were kept in the enclosures during certain parts of the year to protect them from the harsh elements of the surrounding mountains. The fact that many of the enclosures are located near water sources supports this idea, as access to water would have been critical for both the animals and the communities that relied on them. Yet, even if the enclosures were built primarily for practical purposes, their remarkable scale and design suggest that they were more than mere utilitarian structures. The craftsmanship involved in their construction, particularly the use of large, carefully placed stones, points to a level of skill and organization that was far beyond the typical requirements for a simple animal pen. Was there a deeper meaning behind the construction of these enclosures, one that transcended their functional use? One of the more speculative theories proposes that the Rapa das Bestas enclosures were part of an ancient, lost tradition of animal worship. Throughout history, many cultures have revered animals as symbols of power, fertility, or spiritual significance, and the wild horses of Galicia may have held such a role in the spiritual life of ancient communities. Could the enclosures have been used in rituals designed to honor these animals, ensuring their continued vitality and strength. The wild horses, after all, were seen as embodiments of the untamed forces of nature, and taming them in such a dramatic way could have been viewed as a sacred act, symbolizing humanity's dominion over the natural world. Despite the various theories and ideas, the mystery of the Rapa das Bestas enclosures remains unresolved. The exact purpose of these stone structures and the origin of the ritual that surrounds them is still the subject of much debate. The enclosures, standing as they do in the remote hills of Galicia, are symbols of an ancient tradition that has persisted for centuries, yet their deeper meanings remain hidden, like a puzzle whose pieces we have yet to fully understand. As we reflect on the Rapa das Bestas enclosures, one can't help but wonder, what secrets do these stones still hold? What knowledge or understanding of the natural world did the people who built these structures possess? Were they simply a functional tool in an ongoing practice of animal husbandry, or did they serve a higher spiritual purpose that we have yet to uncover? The enclosures stand as silent sentinels in the hills, their purpose as enigmatic as ever, reminding us that even the most seemingly familiar rituals and traditions can harbor mysteries that are far older and more complex than we might ever imagine. In the far reaches of northeast China, nestled among the mountains of the Liaoning province, lies a site that has long captivated archaeologists, historians, and mystics alike: the Niuheliang altar complex. A place that is as enigmatic as it is ancient, the complex sits in near silence, its secrets buried beneath centuries of soil and time. Though it has only been discovered relatively recently, the site holds deep connections to a lost chapter of prehistory, one that remains largely mysterious. The Niuheliang altar complex is unlike any other known archaeological site in China. The site itself is spread across a series of hills, with an array of interconnected stone platforms, ritualistic altars, and mysterious burial structures. Some of the most striking features of the complex are the large stone carvings and bas-reliefs that adorn the altars and surrounding walls. These carvings depict a variety of symbols, including serpents, human-like figures, and what appear to be stylized depictions of animals, creatures that appear to bridge the gap between the known and the unknown. The most intriguing of these is the representation of a goddess-like figure, often referred to as the mother goddess of Niuheliang, who seems to hold a dominant place in the spiritual landscape of this ancient place. The layout of the complex itself raises immediate questions. The stone altars are arranged with meticulous precision, as if the entire site was designed not only for ritual, but for an observance of celestial events. Some researchers believe the arrangement of the stones and altars reflects an ancient understanding of the stars, suggesting that Niuheliang was not just a religious center, but also a place of astronomical observation. The positioning of the altars may align with the solstices or certain constellations, hinting at a profound relationship between the people who built the complex and the cosmos. Could this site have served as an ancient observatory, built to track celestial bodies and mark important cycles in the natural world? Yet the true purpose of Niuheliang remains shrouded in mystery. Evidence suggests that the complex was built during the late Neolithic period, sometime between 4,000 and 5,000 years ago, and was used for religious and ceremonial purposes. The discovery of numerous jade artifacts, as well as ritualistic pottery and bones, supports the theory that the site was used for offerings, sacrifices, and other sacred rites. These relics, however, are still far too few to explain the full significance of the complex. Most perplexing of all is the presence of human-like figures and faces that appear on the carved stone slabs at Niuheliang. Some of these figures bear striking similarities to faces seen in other ancient cultures, similar to the stone effigies of the ancient Mesoamerican civilizations or the eerie figures of the Olmec culture. Could these faces represent deities, ancestors, or even mythical beings. The design of the figures suggests a high degree of artistry and spiritual awareness, but it's unclear whether these were representations of actual gods or symbolic avatars tied to specific rituals. Another layer of mystery is added by the discovery of large, intricately designed burial pits at Niuheliang, which seem to be dedicated to high-ranking individuals or elite members of society. One of the most notable discoveries is the burial of a woman who was interred with a wide array of jade ornaments and ceremonial tools. Her grave was positioned in such a way that it seemed to reflect an understanding of cosmological alignment. Her burial site may have been deliberately chosen to correspond with certain celestial events, perhaps marking her as a person of great spiritual or political importance. Could she have been a high priestess or a figure of profound influence within this lost civilization? Despite these findings, the lack of written records from the Niuheliang culture leaves us with little concrete information about the people who created this sacred space. The lack of a written language is one of the major obstacles to understanding the complex's full significance. Yet, the artwork and carvings at Niuheliang provide a glimpse into a society that valued symbolism, ritual, and celestial phenomena, suggesting that they had a sophisticated worldview that may have been ahead of its time. There are many who believe that Niuheliang may have played a role in the broader religious or political structure of the region. Some suggest that it could have been a major center for the worship of a goddess or female deity, an idea that is supported by the central presence of the mother goddess figure in the complex's imagery. Were the people of Niuheliang part of a larger network of worshippers, united by a shared reverence for the feminine divine? Was this site part of an ancient matriarchal system, where spiritual power was centered around female figures and their connection to the natural world? Others propose a more speculative theory, that Niuheliang was not just a religious center, but also a political one. Could it have been a place where rulers or elite individuals came to assert their power and legitimacy? The elaborate burial practices and the presence of precious jade artifacts suggest that the site may have been tied to the ritualistic expression of authority, with the stone altars and carvings perhaps serving as a symbol of control over the land and its people. Still, the questions surrounding Niuheliang extend far beyond the political or spiritual spheres. The alignment of the stone structures, the intricacy of the carvings, and the abundance of ritualistic objects raise a broader question. What knowledge did the creators of Niuheliang possess? Could they have had access to astronomical or mathematical knowledge that was far more advanced than we have yet understood? The complex's layout and design suggest that its builders were not simply primitive people, but rather a sophisticated society with a deep understanding of the cosmos and the cycles of the natural world. There is also the possibility that the Niuheliang altar complex was part of a much older tradition of megalithic construction that spanned across Asia. Could there be connections between Niuheliang and other ancient ceremonial sites, such as those in the distant reaches of India or the early temples of the Near East? Were the people of Niuheliang in contact with other ancient civilizations, exchanging knowledge, materials, and cultural practices? As we stand amidst the towering stone altars and carved faces of Niuheliang, we are reminded of how little we truly know about this mysterious place. The complex itself, buried deep within the mountains, seems to whisper of a time long past when people connected with the natural world through ritual, art, and astronomical observation. And yet, the true purpose of the site, the people who built it, and the rituals they practiced remain elusive. What was Niuheliang truly meant to symbolize, and why did its creators go to such extraordinary lengths to build this sacred complex? Was it a place of worship, of power, or of both? As we continue to unearth new pieces of the puzzle, the mysteries of the Niuheliang altar complex endure, reminding us that even in the most remote corners of the earth, There are still ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered. As we move from the celestial alignments of Niuheliang, we journey westward to the sun-drenched plains of southern Spain, where a lesser-known yet deeply fascinating site awaits us, the Los Millares outer satellite enclosures. Hidden among the rolling hills of Andalusia, these ancient structures tell a story of a time long before written records, when Bronze Age societies were crafting not only their identities, but also monumental enclosures that would outlast their creators. The Los Millares site itself is well known for its large fortified settlement, an early bastion of the Iberian Peninsula, but few are aware of the smaller, mysterious enclosures that surround it. These satellite enclosures, spread out across the landscape like a network of dots on an ancient map, are a testament to the complexity of early society in this part of the world. Located near the town of Almeria, the outer enclosures are built of massive stone walls, some of which still stand impressively, despite centuries of erosion and neglect. Unlike the traditional circular or rectangular structures commonly associated with early prehistoric sites, these enclosures vary widely in shape and size, suggesting a level of planning and strategic thought that was unprecedented for their time. At first glance, the enclosures appear to be simple fortifications, small walled areas that might have served as living spaces, animal pens, or defensive outposts. But as we delve deeper into their design and placement, a far more intricate story begins to emerge. The positioning of the enclosures, arranged in a way that encircles the main settlement, raises immediate questions. Why were these enclosures constructed so deliberately around Los Millares rather than being scattered across the landscape? Was there a strategic purpose behind their layout, and if so, what did it signify? The answer, it seems, is not entirely clear. Scholars suggest that the outer enclosures were likely part of a broader system of fortification and defense. During the late Bronze Age, around 2000 BC, the people of Los Millares were part of a culture that had begun to form complex social structures, likely influenced by both trade and conflict with neighboring cultures. Evidence of violent clashes, along with the construction of high stone walls and bastions, supports the theory that these enclosures were designed to protect the settlement from external threats. However, the sheer number and variation in these enclosures hint at something more than just defensive fortifications. Some are larger than others, while some are constructed in unusual patterns, features that suggest their use may have extended beyond simple military purposes. Could some of these enclosures have served as ceremonial spaces, places where rituals were performed, or even locations for meetings between different tribal groups? The presence of unusual objects, like small altars and carved stones, within some of the enclosures lends credence to this theory. Were these sacred sites, where religious leaders or chiefs gathered to perform rites of passage or invoke the protection of deities? If so, what kind of beliefs did the people of Los Millares hold? And what might these beliefs tell us about the development of social hierarchies in prehistoric societies? Interestingly, the satellite enclosures are not entirely isolated from one another. Some of them are connected by well-trodden paths or causeways, further suggesting that these enclosures were part of a broader system of social interaction. They might have functioned as places where different groups or families came together, whether for trade, religious ceremonies, or to settle disputes. The connections between these enclosures may have allowed for a fluid exchange of resources and information, strengthening the ties between otherwise independent settlements. The people of Los Millares, then, might have been pioneers in the development of a networked society, one where collaboration, rather than isolation, was key to their survival and prosperity. Yet there are still many questions that remain unanswered about the purpose and design of these enclosures. Some researchers have proposed that these satellite structures could have served as early agricultural enclosures, where crops or livestock were kept. The fertile land surrounding the Los Millares settlement would have been an ideal place for farming and herding, and the enclosures could have been used to protect these vital resources. But this theory is not without its challenges. After all, why build such large and complex stone structures for the purpose of farming when simpler enclosures would have sufficed? And why do many of these enclosures contain no obvious traces of agricultural activity, such as tools or plant remains? The possibility that the enclosures had a more symbolic or spiritual role cannot be discounted either. Some theorists believe that the satellite enclosures may have had connections to cosmological or astronomical beliefs. The unusual alignment of some of the structures, as well as their placement relative to the sun and moon, suggests that the people of Los Millares had a keen interest in celestial phenomena. Could these enclosures have been built with astronomical events in mind, perhaps as markers for solstices, equinoxes, or other significant moments in the lunar cycle? If this was the case, the enclosures may have served as a way to connect the people of Los Millares to the larger rhythms of the universe, a spiritual practice that elevated their sense of place in the world. However, it's also possible that the enclosures were part of a much larger ritual system, one that connected the community to their ancestors or to the natural forces that shaped their lives. Some researchers speculate that these enclosures were used in burial practices, as some of the structures contain evidence of human remains. Were these enclosures sacred burial sites, where the dead were interred and honored with elaborate rituals, or were they places where the living gathered to connect with their ancestors in some other way? The lack of conclusive evidence makes this question difficult to answer, but it's clear that the enclosures were more than mere utilitarian structures. As we continue to uncover more about the Los Millares outer satellite enclosures, one can't help but wonder, what lies hidden beneath the surface of this mysterious site? Was it merely a defensive network, as some suggest? Or was it a center of spiritual and social interaction that connected people across vast distances? The intricate design and placement of the enclosures, coupled with the enigmatic artifacts found within them, suggests that the people of Los Millares were far more sophisticated than we might initially assume. Perhaps the enclosures themselves hold the answers we seek, answers that have been obscured by time, erosion, and the passage of countless generations. As we continue to explore the ruins and piece together the fragments of this forgotten civilization, we are left with one lingering question. What secrets, still buried beneath the earth, might be waiting to reveal themselves to those who dare to dig deeper into the past? Deeper. As we move deeper into the heart of Europe's prehistoric past, we come across one of the most captivating and enigmatic sites in Scandinavia, Stenar. Situated on the windswept coast of Sweden, this massive stone formation has long sparked curiosity, its purpose as elusive as the legends that surround it. Known as the Swedish Stonehenge, Stenar is a megalithic site unlike any other. Stretching across a hillside, it appears to be a ship made of stone, an ancient vessel constructed by people who lived thousands of years ago, yet whose intentions and beliefs remain largely hidden. Stenar is a stone ship, its roughly 59 large stones arranged in the shape of a sailing vessel. The stones themselves, some weighing several tons, have been carefully positioned along a ridge that overlooks the Baltic Sea. When viewed from above, the formation unmistakably resembles the outline of a longship, with its prow and stern clearly defined. The ship-shaped arrangement suggests a connection to the sea, one that was deeply significant to the people who constructed it. But why this shape? And why here, in this particular location? The site is thought to date back to around 1400 BC during the Late Bronze Age. It's believed to have been constructed by the people of the Nordic Bronze Age, who left behind little more than a few artifacts and a rich legacy of burial mounds and rock carvings. Stenar is, in many ways, a puzzle. Its exact purpose has been debated for centuries. While some believe it to be a simple burial site, Others propose that it may have had astronomical or ritual significance. Perhaps it was a monument to honor the dead, a way to ensure safe passage to the afterlife. Others suggest that it could have served as a calendar or a marker for solstices and equinoxes, aligning with the movement of the sun as it rises and sets. The positioning of the stones at el-Stenar gives credence to this astronomical theory. The alignment of the stones is such that, on the summer solstice, the sun appears to rise directly in line with the central axis of the formation. Similarly, at sunset, the rays of the setting sun cast long shadows across the stones, creating a striking visual display that has been linked to ancient rituals and the tracking of celestial events. Was this arrangement intended to mark the changing seasons or to honor the solar cycle? Could it have been a place of cosmic significance, where the movement of the sun was seen as a reflection of the divine? While the exact purpose of el-Stenar remains a mystery, what is clear is that the people who built this structure had a profound understanding of the natural world and the rhythms of the cosmos. The precision with which the stones were placed, some of which are arranged at angles that correspond to specific points of the sun's path, suggests that the builders were highly skilled astronomers. Did they use the site for astronomical observation? Or could the formation have been a symbolic representation of the spiritual journey of the soul, with the ship acting as a metaphor for the voyage of the dead? Some researchers propose that el-Stenar was not just a place for observing the heavens, but also a key ceremonial site. Its location, atop a hill with sweeping views of the sea, would have been an ideal spot for large gatherings and rituals. Could this have been a place where people came together to honor their ancestors, to mark the cycles of life and death, or to celebrate the changing of the seasons? The idea that el-Stenar was a sacred space is further supported by the discovery of nearby burial mounds and the presence of other megalithic structures in the region, which were often associated with rituals and offerings. As we look deeper into the history of the site, however, we encounter even more intriguing mysteries. One of the most compelling aspects of el-Stenar is the lack of any definitive evidence about the people who constructed it. Unlike Stonehenge, where evidence of construction methods and surrounding settlements has been uncovered, el-Stenar remains shrouded in uncertainty. The builders left no written records, and the remains of their settlements have yet to be discovered. This has led some to speculate that el-Stenar may have been constructed by an ancient group whose culture has since been lost to time, perhaps a group that was even more advanced than we realize. There are also those who believe that el-Stenar was not built by the Bronze Age people of Scandinavia at all, but by a much older civilization, one with knowledge of the cosmos and advanced building techniques that were lost long before the first historical records were written. Could this ancient, lost civilization have had contact with other cultures, possibly even across vast distances, sharing knowledge and ideas that were passed down through the ages? The notion that el-Stenar is a relic of an earlier advanced society is a theory that has captured the imagination of many, though it remains speculative at best. Another curious feature of el-Stenar is the way it has been integrated into local folklore and legend. For centuries, the formation was shrouded in mystery, with local communities telling stories about its origin. One of the most popular myths involves the legendary Viking king, Ale, who is said to have created the stone ship as a memorial to his warriors. But there is no historical evidence to support this story, and the connection between el-Stenar and the Viking era is tenuous at best. Yet, the presence of this legend speaks to the cultural significance that the site has held for generations, suggesting that, even in the absence of definitive answers, the stone ship continues to inspire awe and wonder. Perhaps the greatest mystery of el-Stenar, however, lies in its continued relevance. Despite being over 3,000 years old, the stone formation remains a powerful symbol of the ancient relationship between humanity and the cosmos. In a world where modern science has provided us with an unprecedented understanding of the universe, Stenar still stands as a reminder of our ancestors' deep connection to the natural world. It speaks to their reverence for the forces that governed their lives and to their desire to leave a lasting mark on the land, a mark that would endure long after their passing. As we stand at the edge of the formation, gazing out at the vast expanse of the Baltic Sea, we are reminded that the story of Stenar is far from complete. While the mainstream explanations may offer a sense of closure, the deeper mysteries of the site continue to beckon. What were the true intentions behind the construction of the stone ship? Was it purely a practical structure, a place for rituals and ceremonies, or something more? A symbol of the unknown, a reminder that even in the distant past, the world was full of mysteries yet to be uncovered? What might still be hidden beneath the earth? What secrets, buried by time, remain locked within the stones of Stenar, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to explore the forgotten corners of our ancient past? As with many prehistoric sites, the mystery remains as potent today as it was when the stones were first placed, leaving us to wonder what lies beyond the veil of history, just out of reach. As we venture further into the ancient landscape of the Armenian highlands, a curious sight emerges: Zorats, a place of stone, mystery, and intrigue. Located in the southern region of Armenia, near the town of Sishin, this ancient complex has been the subject of debate and wonder for centuries. Known as the Armenian Stonehenge, Zorats is often compared to the more famous English megalithic site, but this comparison only scratches the surface of its enigmatic presence. The stone structures here, arranged in a pattern that suggests both function and symbolism, hint at a civilization whose beliefs, technologies, and societal structures remain largely hidden. The site itself is spread across a rocky plateau, surrounded by the towering peaks of the Sunic Mountains. This natural fortress provides an awe-inspiring backdrop to the more than 200 stones scattered across the landscape. At first glance, Zorats may seem like a simple arrangement of large, unshaped stones, standing in scattered groups or solitary positions. Yet, when viewed with a more discerning eye, it becomes clear that these stones are far from haphazard. Some are arranged in circles or alignments, while others are positioned in such a way that suggests an intentional design, one that may have had specific astronomical, religious, or cultural significance. The stones at Zorats vary in size and shape, with some standing as high as 3 meters tall. What sets this site apart, however, is the presence of holes drilled into many of the stones. These holes are not natural formations. They have been meticulously carved, and their purpose remains unclear. Some researchers speculate that the holes could have been used for astronomical observations, aligning with the rising and setting of the sun, moon, or stars. Others propose that these holes were used as part of a ritualistic practice, perhaps to connect the earth with the heavens. Could the stones at Zorats have served as markers for celestial events, or were they a means of reaching out to divine forces? The mystery deepens when one considers that the site's design seems to have a deliberate orientation with key points of the sky, suggesting that the builders possessed an advanced knowledge of astronomy far ahead of their time. What was the true purpose of these stones? Was Zorats a temple, a cemetery, or an astronomical observatory? Scholars have long debated the function of this site, and while some have been content with the more conventional explanations, others point to the site's mysterious elements as evidence of something much deeper. The very name Zorats, which translates to the stones of the ancestors, implies a connection to the past, perhaps a way for early Armenians to honor their ancestors or their gods through the medium of stone. Could these stones have served as a ritual space where the living and the dead interacted? Or were they simply markers of time, used to track celestial movements and mark important events in the agricultural and religious calendars. The alignment of the stones offers another layer of mystery. While the precise orientation is not as well defined as at other megalithic sites, certain arrangements suggest that the site may have had a function tied to the solar and lunar cycles. Some of the stone circles appear to be aligned with the solstices, while others might have been oriented towards particular stars or constellations. This raises the question: did the people who built Zorats view the sky as a cosmic mirror, reflecting the divine order of the universe? Could these stones have been a way to communicate with the gods, to honor the forces that governed the heavens and the earth? As we look deeper into the history of the site, we encounter more questions than answers. The construction of Zorats likely dates back to the 3rd millennium BC, placing it squarely within the early Bronze Age. This period in the region's history was marked by significant cultural and technological advancements, but very little is known about the people who lived here and built the site. What we do know is that the inhabitants of this area were likely part of a larger cultural network that extended across the Caucasus region and beyond. Archaeological evidence suggests that the people of Zorats were skilled stoneworkers and that they had a sophisticated understanding of geometry and astronomy. But who were they, and what motivated them to construct such an elaborate site? One theory proposes that Zorats was a center for religious or ceremonial practices, where the people gathered to mark significant events in their spiritual or agricultural calendars. The presence of the drilled stones, some of which are arranged in circular patterns, may suggest that the site was used for rituals that involved movement, such as dances or processions. Could the site have been a place where people came together to honor the cycles of nature, to celebrate the changing of the seasons, or to perform rites that ensured a bountiful harvest? Another theory suggests that Zorats could have been an astronomical observatory, used by early astronomers to track the movements of celestial bodies. The alignment of some of the stones with the sunrise and sunset during key solstices and equinoxes supports this idea. Could these stones have been used to predict the changing seasons, to mark the passage of time, or to help determine the optimal times for planting and harvesting crops? If so, it would imply that the builders of Zorats had an advanced understanding of astronomy, one that may have been passed down through generations and could have influenced later cultures in the region. However, the absence of any conclusive evidence, such as written records or other artifacts, has left many questions unanswered. Was the site used solely by one group of people, or did it serve as a gathering place for various tribes and cultures over the centuries? Could it have been part of a larger network of megalithic sites, each serving a unique function yet connected by a shared belief system? The lack of definitive answers only adds to the allure of Zorats making it one of the most enigmatic prehistoric sites in the world. The mystery of Zorats may never be fully solved, and perhaps that is part of its charm. As we walk among the stones today, we are reminded of the ancient people who once stood in this very place, looking up at the stars and seeking meaning in the movements of the heavens. The drilled holes, the carefully arranged stones, and the site's alignment with the cosmos all suggest that the people of Zorats were deeply connected to the natural world, using the stones as a way to bridge the gap between the earthly and the divine. In the absence of written records, we are left to wonder, what did these stones mean to the people who placed them here? What secrets, still hidden beneath the earth, might one day be uncovered? And perhaps most intriguing of all, what did the builders of Zorats see when they looked to the heavens? And what knowledge did they hope to pass on to future generations through the silent language of stone? As we continue to search for answers, the mystery of Zorats remains as powerful and enigmatic as the stones themselves, inviting us to look deeper into the past and explore the forgotten corners of human history. At the heart of this rugged mountainous region, one cannot help but feel the lingering presence of an ancient spirit that once thrived here. The site itself seems like a point of convergence between the earthly and the divine, as if these stones were witnesses to rituals and beliefs that surpassed the ordinary understanding of humanity. The meticulously crafted stone tools and the holes drilled into the rocks speak of a civilization that valued craftsmanship and possessed advanced techniques that are almost beyond our imagination. The lingering question remains: who were these people? Were they ancient astronomers who understood the secrets of the cosmos? Or were they a religious society with a unique connection to nature? In the absence of other material evidence, speculations about the site's purpose only deepen. Were these stones used purely for timekeeping and astronomical calculations, or did they serve as a bridge for spiritual communication between worlds? Some theories suggest that these holes might have been used for tracking stars and planets during specific times of the year, reflecting a profound understanding of the relationship between humans and the cosmos. Perhaps these stones played a role in determining the agricultural seasons, showing an awareness of how to synchronize human activity with the rhythms of the natural world. Yet the cultural dimensions of this site go far beyond the precise geometry or celestial alignments of the stones. Visitors to Zorats today cannot help but sense something intangible in the air, something that cannot be fully explained by science alone. Perhaps these stones were symbols of the spiritual unity of a people who saw the earth and the sky as one interconnected realm, where the forces of nature were intimately linked. In the end, the stones at Zorats were more than just markers. They were bridges, connecting generations across time and connecting humanity to the cosmic forces that govern the world around them. Nestled in the windswept hills of the Golan Heights, just a stone's throw from the border of Palestine, lies a site shrouded in mystery, its purpose lost to time. Rujum el-Hiri, or the Stone Heap of the Gazelle, as it is often called, is an ancient megalithic structure unlike any other in the region. As you stand at the foot of this colossal arrangement of stones, the first thing that strikes you is its sheer scale. Over 5,000 tons of basalt stone have been painstakingly moved, shaped, and placed in a series of concentric rings. Some stones are as large as small cars, and they form a structure that spans roughly 500 meters in diameter. But despite its size and complexity, the true nature of Rujum el-Hiri remains elusive. Unlike the famous stone circles of Britain or the towering megaliths of Europe, Rujum el-Hiri is not just a single ring of stones but a vast arrangement, with 5 distinct concentric circles surrounding a central mound. Within this complex structure are a series of chambers, some of which appear to have been used for ritual purposes. At its heart, the largest of these chambers stands, its stone walls curving inward in an almost deliberate, purposeful fashion. The entire site exudes an eerie sense of order and design, but one that is not immediately understandable. Why was it built? What was its purpose? And who were the people responsible for such a monumental feat of engineering? The site is thought to have been constructed around 3000 BC, placing it in the Neolithic period. The labor and resources required to build Rujum el-Hiri suggest that it was a center of great importance, perhaps even a symbol of power for the people who built it. But despite its size and apparent significance, no written records have been discovered that would shed light on the site's creators or its intended function. Archaeologists have posited a range of explanations for the structure, but no theory has gained widespread acceptance. One of the prevailing theories is that Rujum el-Hiri was an astronomical observatory. The alignment of certain stones suggests a relationship with the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, with some stones believed to have been placed to mark the rising or setting of celestial bodies on key dates, such as solstices or equinoxes. The central chamber, with its precise construction, could have served as a space for viewing the heavens, a place where early astronomers could track the stars and mark the passage of time. The arrangement of stones at Rujum el-Hiri does seem to be deliberately aligned with certain celestial events, which points to the possibility that it was used for ritual purposes tied to the stars. However, as with many megalithic sites, this theory remains speculative. Could it have been more than just a place of observation? Was Rujum el-Hiri a site where the people sought to connect with the gods through the cosmos? Did they believe that the movements of the heavens held divine significance? Another theory is that Rujum el-Hiri was a tomb, or perhaps a burial site of some kind. The shape and structure of the circles, with their concentric rings and central mound, resemble burial mounds found throughout ancient cultures. Could this vast arrangement of stones have served as a burial site for the elite or powerful members of society? The presence of chambers within the site supports the possibility that the structure was intended for some sort of ceremonial purpose. If so, what kind of rituals were performed here? Were the dead honored in a way that connected them to the cosmos or to the forces of nature? Some researchers have suggested that the site may have been a center of trade or social interaction. Given its scale and the labor required to construct it, Rujum el-Hiri would likely have drawn people from the surrounding areas, making it a potential meeting place for diverse communities. Perhaps the stones were not merely for ritual or astronomical purposes, but also served as a symbol of unity, a gathering point for different tribes or cultures. This would explain the site's strategic location, with its panoramic views of the surrounding landscape, which would have made it an ideal place for observing both celestial events and human activity. Yet another, more speculative theory suggests that Rujum el-Hiri may have been a site of ancient power or authority. The sheer scale of the structure, along with the meticulous placement of stones, implies that the people who built it had a high level of social organization and technical skill. Was this structure a monument to the power of a ruling elite? Or perhaps it served as a ceremonial space where the leaders of the community would gather to perform rites that cemented their position in the social hierarchy. Despite these theories, the truth remains elusive. Rujum el-Hiri is a mystery that defies simple explanation, one that continues to perplex archaeologists and historians alike. Even the name Rujum el-Hiri itself speaks to the enigmatic nature of the site. In Arabic, Rujum means heap of stones, while Hiri refers to the gazelle, an animal that is both revered and symbolic in the region. Does the name suggest that the site was a place of reverence, a space dedicated to honoring the natural world and the creatures that roamed it? Or is the name merely a reflection of the local people's perception of the site's origins? In recent years, new technologies have begun to unlock some of the secrets of Rujum el-Hiri. Geophysical surveys, including ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry, have revealed additional structures beneath the Earth's surface. These findings hint that the site may be even more complex than originally thought, with additional chambers, walls, and perhaps even more megalithic features hidden underground. Could Rujum el-Hiri extend far beyond what we can see above ground? Might future excavations uncover more of its secrets? The lack of written records and the sheer age of the site mean that much of its story will likely remain hidden. What remains clear is that Rujum el-Hiri is not simply a collection of stones. It is a place that continues to speak to us, albeit in a language that is difficult to understand. Its purpose, its creators, and its significance remain shrouded in mystery, but the structure itself offers a glimpse into the spiritual and intellectual life of the people who built it. Could Rujum el-Hiri have been a place of astronomical observation, a religious site, a burial ground, or something entirely different? The questions continue to multiply, but the answers remain elusive. As we stand before the stones, their cool surfaces weathered by millennia of wind and rain, we are left to wonder, What did the builders of Rujum el-Hiri know that we have yet to discover? What secrets lie buried beneath the stones, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? And perhaps most intriguing of all, what knowledge did these ancient people pass on to us, hidden within the silent, steadfast stones of Rujum el-Hiri? Despite the many theories that surround Rujum el-Hiri, one undeniable feature of the site is its timeless connection to the landscape. The site's positioning, with panoramic views of the surrounding Golan Heights, suggests that the builders had a deep understanding of both their natural environment and the strategic value of their surroundings. This raises the possibility that Rujum el-Hiri was not merely a physical construction, but also a symbolic statement of human ingenuity and resilience. The stones, meticulously placed to form concentric circles, may have served as a reflection of the cyclical nature of life itself, endlessly repeating yet evolving with each passing age. Whether an astronomical observatory or a burial site, the location of Rujum el-Hiri speaks to an ancient wisdom, where human and cosmic rhythms were intertwined. Furthermore, the craftsmanship involved in constructing Rujum el-Hiri suggests a sophisticated society capable of organizing large-scale projects. Moving and shaping the basalt stones, some weighing as much as small vehicles, would have required a highly coordinated effort, involving a workforce with both technical skill and communal cohesion. The absence of written records leaves us to ponder whether Rujum el-Hiri was the product of a single culture or a melting pot of various groups who came together to create something greater than the sum of their parts. This multicultural influence could explain the enigmatic nature of the site, where multiple purposes, ritual, astronomical, and social, may have coexisted within the same structure. As modern archaeological methods continue to peel back the layers of history at Rujum el-Hiri, new discoveries promise to shed light on this fascinating mystery. While geophysical surveys and excavation efforts have already unearthed additional chambers and walls beneath the surface, it is clear that we are only scratching the surface of what this site may hold. Perhaps, in the coming years, further analysis will reveal more about the rituals that took place within these stone circles, or the deeper spiritual beliefs of the people who built it. Until then, Rujum el-Hiri stands as a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity and the desire to reach beyond the limits of our understanding, seeking answers in the silent stones that have withstood the test of time.